Atheism is like it in the Philippines. It's not because the way the question is framed, and this is something that because it's always, and with Shimi, it's always like that. Shimi or many Israelis would always try to throw stones at the Arabs. Why? Because that's the easy sense for them. It's easier
Are
to
you
it's
are
easier
you
to blame
not
the Arabs
doing,
for this, for
Muhammad?
that,
Are
for
you
that.
not
Yeah.
Muhammad? I'm sorry. Are you not doing the same with Jewish and with Jews and
But now
Israelis?
we're not discussing the Jews. We're just
You are
discussing the Arabs because
from the start, from the point
if
that
you
we
were
started this
ready,
conversation.
if you were ready,
You're
yeah.
trying to minimize the Jewish
No,
accomplishments, right?
if you were ready and fair, you should have made it an open discussion. You're not making it an open discussion. You're making it an Arab-specific discussion. If you want us
And you
now to
are
discuss the
making it
Jews and the Arabs, we can discuss the
about
Jews and the
Jews
Arabs.
and Israelis specifically. You are not. We had a conversation like in half an hour right
Sure,
now,
sure.
and the only group that you attack, it's only Jews
We don't
and
attack Jews. No, 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 no.
Israelis.
What do you understand?
Be honest, Muhammad.
What do you mean by attack? Attack is a hard word.
But by attack, I mean you are minimizing us, you are criticizing us. Everything is wrong with us. We are. I talked with you about sciences, and you veer the subject toward why
About what?
Israelis think
About
that
what?
the
What?
land of Israel belongs to them. How does it make sense to you? Only God knows.
No, 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 no. Because the thing is, no, no, no. Now you're being of bad faith here. Because first of all, we're discussing just the Jews and the Arabs. If we are discussing, if such was the case that we were discussing Spain or we're discussing Tahiti in French Polynesia, and then I brought the subject to the Jews and Israel, then you could have told me, Muhammad, we were talking about something completely different, unrelated. But now we were discussing something about the Middle East, about the Jews and the Arabs. Whenever there is discussion
Muhammad,
about Israel,
you
there is the Jews
just
and the Arabs to it. So it's
okay.
we're not borderline. We're in the topic. So
Okay,
things.
Muhammad, you just for at least for the last 15 minutes,
Mm.
you criticized the Jews'
What was the
achievements
critique? What was the
in the
critique? I didn't
science.
make any critique.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. In the sciences,
What was the
you said.
critique? Now repeat the critique for me. What did I say?
Okay, so you said the Jews didn't invent
And
anything. They
honestly,
basically
and
they
repeat it
took all
honestly. Not
everything
yeah.
from the going. Didn't you say that?
I said all the sciences, all the material sciences were initiated by the goyim. Yes, I said that.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said for the Jews to be able to achieve academic achievement,
Yes.
the only option for them it was to live in Europe and to learn from the going, right?
The only option for a Jew that was living in a ghetto in Central Europe to learn about
Mhm.
medicine and physics in the European setting was to learn from the goyim. Yes.
Okay. So again, so I asked you in return. So what wrong with the Muslim countries?
I've told you that. I
What
answered your question, and I've told you we do not have the same
and
reality as the
I do
Jews.
not. Okay,
No,
and I still have.
I've said to you, we did not exist in Europe in the 18th century for us to be a part assimilated into the European centuries back then. So we cannot make this comparison. I mean, yeah,
But it doesn't make sense what you're saying, because
it does.
in Europe, what you say, for some reason those Europeans were excuse me, those European created an academic infrastructure to enable the rest of the populace to have education, to have an academic education, and grow up. And so I'm
No, no,
trying to understand
we're
why
not talking
in
about the
the
same. You
Arab or
asked
the
me a direct
Muslim
question.
community
No, you asked me a
where
direct
this
question. I answered the direct question.
infrastructure
No,
went.
no, you asked me a direct question, and I said your question directly. I told you you cannot make abstraction of the fact that there was no minority in Europe except the Jewish minority. So we cannot make the same arguments about the Arabs in Morocco, for instance, because we, our Moroccans, in the 18th century and the 17th century, it was impossible for a Moroccan Muslim to live normally in a Western country. It was just
Okay, you know
impossible.
what?
Impossible.
Okay, you know what? I'm okay. I'm going to ask you in a different way. What is the difference? Let's say a century ago. What is the difference between a European and an Arab person living in an Arab or a Muslim country? What is the difference?
The difference actually was due to the fact that the Arabs have lost the fact that they were handling all of the commercial routes. So the Europeans started controlling all the worldwide commercial routes, which means that Europeans had more money, which means Europeans had more funds to fund universities, which means that they could do research and have people paid just to do research. So they organized themselves in a manner that's progressed science in their respective societies. And because the Jews used to live in Europe back then, some Jews decided that they would. It was not the Talmud Torah was not enough, and they were like, those rabbis are preventing us from fucking amazing science here. So we'll go and learn from the Goyim, and we will just imitate the Goyim in everything they do. That's what I'm telling you.
So what you're saying that the Europeans were more smarter than the Arabs?
No, I'm saying the Europeans had access to more money than the Arabs, and for you to have civilization, you need funding for that civilization.
But to have more money, the way okay, where this money came from? What they stole it from the
Commercial
Arabs?
routes. For instance, back then in the medieval age, for a European to trade with India, they needed an Arab intermediary because the route was through Arab and Muslim lands. But when they discovered, for instance, the cap kind of the cap in South Africa, so for them to go to south of India without having to go the Arabs, and then there were battles between them and Egyptians and Turks in the Indian Ocean in the 15th century, in which the Portuguese have succeeded militarily to control the route to India. Then things started from there. With commercial routes, you have control over trade. When you have control over trade, you have everything. You have a lot of riches that come back to the country. I mean, to the extent that the inflation was so high in Spain and Europe and Portugal with the gold, for instance, that came from the Americas, it changes the game. So it's about the commercial. Then, I mean, when you lose it militarily, then you lose a lot of things with it. You lose the money. When you lose the money, you become you have a lot of trouble even securing the goods. For instance, for now that you used to bring things from India normally with your own traders. Now you have the Portuguese that don't let these goods come into your countries, and you also lost the money that you used to make when you used to make the trade between India or China and Europe. It's a completely constriction thing. You want to make it seem as if it was instantaneous. There is a rational to it. It doesn't mean just the same thing which happened with Palestine. The same
Muhammad,
thing which happened. Yeah.
okay, in percentage, can you tell me how much Muslim countries in percentage, how much let's say if we take the earth, how much Muslim countries in percentage in excuse me, I got confused. What I'm trying to ask, how much in percentages Muslim countries cover the world?
I don't know, but a substantial part of the world is Muslim.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
So if Muslim countries control a very big percentage of the world, so
we don't control it, unfortunately. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What do you mean by we are not controlling?
Because if we were in control, then there wouldn't be all the problems I've told you about. I will give you, I mean, like the whole thing, if we have really control over, I mean, like if Kazakhstan had control over Kazakhstan, if Pakistan had total control, no need for external aid, for the Chinese aid or the
And
American
who
aid.
fault is it? Okay, I got it. And who fault is it? Let's get to that point.
It's the cumulative faults of it always comes. We've told it like when you started the room. I told you when the last day of Israel would be because the Jews would decide that Israel would finish, and I'm telling you also it's a cumulative mistakes of our previous generations. Those are things that if we want to discuss them in a fair play, we can discuss them. But of course, there is because no one come from outside to your home if it is not because someone let the door open for them to come in. So of course we can discuss that as well. Yeah, but
1.9 billion Muslims in this world. 1.9 billion.
But I mean, we will discuss. Do you want to discuss Islam and Judaism? This is a different discussion because my opinion is that Islam is more accomplished than Judaism, but that would be a different discussion. We'd be discussing the religion and the thought here. But now I think we're discussing geopolitics, economy, and money, and R&D. So we're discussing completely different things.
Well,
do you know Kohen Tanuji?
Gina, you talk from afar. I can't hear you well.
You know Kohen Tanuji?
טובה, את נשמעת ממש לא טוב, את חייבת לשפר את האיכות, את נשמעת כאילו את מדברת ממנהרה.
So I can't. But you can, if you heard her question, you can repeat.
No, I didn't heard it. I didn't understand what she's saying.
But I could just hear that she's angry. That's the only thing I can hear.
Well, if someone accuses you, being a thief and all that, yeah.
No, not thief. No, look, Shimi, no. If you want, you've said moments ago that it's with respect. So if you want to be conducted with respect, you have to be respectful of what I've said. Notably, when I repeated it several times, when I say you've said stealing, thieves. I've told you repeatedly, I didn't say any of that. So please don't repeat it in my face. What I've said is that there is nothing, every human nation contributed to human civilization. Jews are no exceptions. They've learned from others. They also added new things. And I cannot refuse an achievement just because an Israeli did it. But at the same hand,
But it's exactly what you are doing, right?
No one could make the argument that civilization or any progress is essentially Jewish. Notably, unless so, when we know that all the material sciences, when they started in the Goyim, they don't start the Jewish nation. Its best contribution and only contribution until recently was just the Bible and the monotheism. So I mean, to be clear about it.
Okay, I personally do think that Jews contribute a great deal to the exact sciences, but it's only
yes, of course they do. That, of course, parts of every nation. It's
no.
Are you telling me, Shimi, that the Jews in Yemen in the 19th century they had a physicist? No. So you're telling me a Jew in Germany who was a German citizen because he's German, he learned in a German university. So it's completely different.
Thank you. Because they lived in a Muslim country.
Oh, because actually we can make the same argument about the Jews in Ethiopia. They were living under Christian rule. But the same thing. It's not about Christian Muslim. You want to frame it that way.
Yeah, but I can give you
because you want to make it sound. You want to make it sound, which Israeli believe in, that actually there is that Islam is conducive to ignorance. That's your argument, and that's why you're making that comparison. What I'm telling you, it's not the case. It's not about Islam, Judaism, or even in that case Christianity that's conducive to anything.
No, what I'm saying, Muhammad, that Muslim countries are
no, you're saying Muslim countries by the very fact that you're saying Muslim countries, you make it sound about Islam.
That's what I want to say. They are intolerant toward others.
No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. I think from that perspective, we are better served than any other nation that I'm aware of.
Well, you need only to look at the political, the economic situation in Arab countries.
But that's not the problem. I could be better. The Jews used to be an underdog among nations, but still they had a very interesting thing to say. So if a Roman or a Greek came and slew the Jews after, for instance, the revolt of Bar Kokhba, he would say, "Who are these Jews? At the end of the day, who are they? What do they contribute to us? Would they be wrong? I think they would be wrong to make such an assessment. If they are to judge the Jews only on who they were in the 2nd century AD, they would make a wrong judgment, because the Jews contributed much to the history of humanity afterwards, and I agree with you about that. But what I'm saying here is that you're making that argument that because of material indicators, because the GDP is beyond this, and the GDP is below that, you're making the argument that we have no say and we have nothing interesting to say, and that we are doomed to remain so. And if such were the case, it's because of our religious beliefs. And I beg to differ, because in that respect, I think Judaism is even more intolerant and more problematic than Islam. And we can discuss the details of that.
Okay, so I will tell you what the Romans will think about the Jews, and I will explain to you exactly why. I
You can
think
bring Yoni wants to come
to
here.
the stage.
Yeah, yeah, he wants to.
So raise your hand, Yoni. I cannot see
I don't
your
know.
hand.
So maybe he will
Okay,
have to leave the room and come back again, or maybe he's not here anymore. Anyways, continue, Chim.
I don't see him. If someone want to hop onto the stage, please raise your hand. Oh, now I see. Okay, here we go. Okay,
Hi, I actually just joined, and I found it a little bit hard to follow what exactly you guys are arguing about. So if someone can explain exactly what's happening here.
well, actually, you're right because we are veering from subject to subject, but basically, uh, the debate come to Judaism versus, you can say, Islam. If we are trying to concentrate
I mean,
the
yeah.
debate.
Just to make it simple, and you could actually, Shani. The argument was that Shimi was making. He was alluding to the fact that there is a correlation between countries being Muslim and Islam as religion, and the fact that these countries are suffering from economic problems or development problems.
Of
So that was
course,
the argument. Yeah. So
of course.
of course, I think differently, because if we were to
Mm-hmm.
discuss the details of it, I would say Ethiopia is Christian, Philippines is Christian, Bolivia is Christian, Paraguay and Uruguay are Christian. We can make the argument, I don't know, Ghana is Christian. And I think those are unrelated things. And also, I do think, and that's also my position, is that Islam is way more tolerant to Judaism and is more conducive to civilization than Judaism. And I also can discuss this friendly with you if you want to discuss that subjects as well.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I just can't read your name. What's your name?
It's Muhammad.
Muhammad. So you're Muslim and you
Yeah.
are, if may I ask, from which ethnicity or country?
Morocco. Morocco.
Morocco, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you think there's no connection between, um, I guess, Islamic culture and traditions and I
Mhm.
guess Sharia law
Right.
to the
To
state,
the economic situation of the country, yes. Mhm.
right, to the state that these
Sure.
countries who practice Sharia law
Right, right.
and
I mean, like, if you, I mean, I think to myself, maybe a fairer framing of the question would be if an Israeli or a Jew comes to me and tells me, uh, if Israel was ruled under halakha, it would have been a shithole as Pakistan. Then maybe I could say, look, you're making it about halakha and Sharia, and I think that it's not about halakha and Sharia, and then I would be defending both Islam and Judaism in my argument. Okay, but the thing is, the way it is framed is making it specific about Islam. So that is why I'm discussing it from an Islamic vantage point. Yes.
okay, and are you a practicing Muslim? You know your Quran, you know your Hadith?
Of course, of course. I'm not a scholar, but I think I know fair enough. Yeah.
So, okay, and you want to compare halakha to Sharia law?
Of course, yeah. And I think my position is that Sharia is more progressive and inclusive than halakha, but it's not. It doesn't mean that halakha is bad. Halakha also has positives to it. It also seeks to protect life. It also seeks to like any set of laws to handle many situations. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so just like any set of laws, but
Okay.
I think when it comes to the relations with others, to minorities within an Islamic society, I think Sharia does a better job than halakha. That's for sure.
Okay,
Okay, so
so
clearly you don't understand halacha
No, of
and the
course, I think
concept of you
yeah.
don't understand the concept of pikuach nefesh.
Now, I think I
Uh,
will ask you a question, David, because maybe you will maybe you will know about that. But if you don't know, it will be interesting to discuss that, or maybe you can ask your rabbi. I mean, like, and
about
provide us
pikuach
with
nefesh.
Wait,
references.
Muhammad, wait. Can we please um mute your mics, guys, and let one person talks, and when he finishes, you can talk, Muhammad, okay? Please, thank you.
Okay, but please do not make long speeches. Okay, I want to give everybody a chance to say their mind.
So
Okay, go
the two
go ahead.
points I want to make. I'm gonna be super quick. The first one is there's no such thing as pikuach nefesh in Islam. And if you want progressive, this is progressive. Uh,
Could you
pikuach.
elaborate? Could you elaborate what it is about? What is the just
Okay,
for the people on
okay,
stage?
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So pikuach nefesh means that not only you can, but you must break all the laws of the halacha in order to save a person's life. So there are three exceptions. One exception is if somebody asks me to do avodah zarah, which means idol worshipping. If somebody comes to me and say you do idol worshipping or I kill you, I have to say okay, so please kill me. If somebody says kill that person or I kill you, I have to say no, I'm not killing this person. Kill me. If somebody says sleep with your daughter, your mother, your sister, illicit sexual relationship, or I'll kill you, I have to say I'm not sleeping with my mother, kill me. So what it means is that if I have to light a fire, which is forbidden, on Yom Kippur, and cook pork, which is strictly forbidden, in order to save someone's life, I must do it.
But yeah.
I assume it's a completely crazy concept, right? That
No, it's
pork
not.
is
It's
gonna
not.
save somebody
No, no, it's not.
and
It's
it
not
has to
crazy.
be cooked, but whatever. But if for some imaginary crazy reason to cook pork on Yom Kippur will save someone's life, it's not about sleeping with the it's not about doing incest, it's not about doing idol worshipping, it's not about asking the person to kill somebody. I must do it. So to me, this is above and beyond progressive.
That's
Now, hold on, hold
but
on, hold
are
on,
you
hold on,
yeah.
hold on.
You said you'll
Let
be
me
quick.
be let me be super brief. Two things when it comes to Zionism, when it comes to Jews living in Israel. The first one is it's not that the Jews will tell you, it's like, oh no, we've been away for 2,000 years, and now, we have to go back to the land and whatever. I was reading to somebody a passage in Devarim, which is part of the Tanakh, the fifth book, and it says, when you come into the land and you conquer the land and you settle into the land, and if you want a king, then you shall have a king. So, meaning the way we live religion, and that's something similar to what Muslim do with Mecca. Like Mecca may be like an old tradition, but it's every year and it's very much happening. So in Judaism, we have the rule of Shemitah, not to work the land one year every 7 year. We have the rule to go to Jerusalem 3 times a year, and we have the rule to live in the land. It's not yesterday. It's today. It's every day. Now,
David,
if
I can, may I please interrupt one
just
second? I'm
one
sorry.
last thing, one
I'm,
last thing, one
It
last
would be
yeah.
thing,
super.
one
It
last
would be
thing,
super brief. Go ahead.
one last thing. So, ever since the Jews were kicked out of Israel from the Roman, they lived into different places, and they were kicked out of England for 400 years, and from France and from everywhere in the world. They were expelled, and the money taken, the goods taken, and Iraq in 1951 and everywhere. What happened was that in 1783, 93, they became French citizen. So they thought, if we're the citizen of a country, then nothing's going to happen to us. And then 100 years later, there's the Dreyfus affair, and there's a Jewish captain of the French army who's been degraded in a public forum. And Herzl, he thinks that he's going to hear Dreyfus is a traitor, kill the traitor, but instead of that, he hears kill the Jews. So he says clearly the solution for the Jews to be free and happy is not to be citizen of a country, it's to have their own country. So this is
David, if
the
I allow
last
me,
word I'm going to
because
say.
we're off
Okay,
topic right
okay,
now.
It's not
okay.
about
It's off
one
topic.
state.
David,
The last
David,
word I'm going to
I
say.
think we're discussing a lot of things here.
I
yeah,
love.
yeah,
David, wait. I think you got a little bit out of the the argument here. I know
No,
what you're
the
talking
last thing I
about,
want to
but
say. The last thing I want to say is that it's not that I don't like Arab people. It's not that I don't love Palestinian people. It's nothing personal. Nothing.
okay,
Nothing
okay,
like that.
okay.
It's just it's one argument that I want to be in control of my country, because historically, if I'm not the one in control of my country, then I'm going to be kicked out, or I'm going to be expelled, or something's going to happen to me. So I just want to
Oh,
be in
oh,
control. Thank you.
okay.
That's
So
all.
we
Thank
want
you
to
very much.
oh,
But
okay, thank you,
stay
David.
here,
So
David. Stay here, because I want to engage with you in conversation afterwards.
I just wanted to add something
I still
because
haven't made any argument so far. I mean, I
the
just heard.
original.
Okay, Shani, go ahead. I would like to respond to what David and maybe you would have been saying. Go ahead.
Okay, so the argument was basically that like you comparing halakha to Sharia law,
Of course,
and
yes.
that is simply not comparable in any sense
Yeah. Okay,
because the
make an
law.
argument, and I will follow.
But
Yeah.
okay, Mohammed, please, you can answer later. I just want to finish and I'll hear you out. Okay, so in halakha, obviously, and in Sharia law, you have obviously different rules and laws, but you can't compare simply because in Sharia law, when you have something like the Prophet Muhammad said that if one changes his religion, kill him, and we don't have something like that in halakha or any of that sense,
Are you sure?
it's simply not comparable.
Are you
We
sure?
don't.
Certain. Yes,
We
yes, for
have.
Are you
sure.
sure? Okay,
We
so let
have.
me.
I'm
Okay.
Jewish. Wait,
Yeah.
wait, wait.
Yeah.
Please. I'm still. I didn't finish. I'm Jewish. Okay. I was born Jewish. I was raised Jewish, and I know for a fact that we don't have anything of that sort. I'm in my baby steps of learning Islam and Arab culture and the history. And I've read Hadith and I read the Quran a little bit. I'm not gonna say I'm an expert or anything, of course.
Are you
But
doing it
when
out
you
of
say,
love and curiosity, or out of negative emotions?
of course, out of knowledge, of course, I want to know because
And
I
love
live in
for your
Israel.
neighbors. And love for your neighbors.
Right. I live in
Okay.
Israel and I live with Muslims, I live with Christians. I like to study about, different religions, different cultures. So when I read the text and the scriptures of the Quran and, Hadith and like, Sahih al-Bukhari and stuff like that, I read something and I can criticize it and I don't like it. And when you say to someone, if you change your religion, kill him, and it happens in Muslim states, in Sharia law states, that if someone, for example, Lala Sulika, if you know her case, the Moroccan Jewish girl, who was executed in public because the king thought that she was Jewish, she was born Jewish, of course. People thought she became Muslim for some reason, but then they thought like she wanted to change her religion, and that's of course forbidden in Islam, so she got murdered. She simply got murdered, and it still happens today in Muslim countries. And when you compare it to halakha, which is simply not comparable, stuff like that doesn't happen. Like if Israel was halakha state, things like this wouldn't happen.
Okay, good. Do you have your Bible next to you, or do you have the
It's
internet?
not it's not called the Bible, it's Tanakh.
Torah or Tanakh? Okay, the Hebrew Bible or Tanakh.
Yeah,
By
I
the
don't.
way, Shani, just to let you know, Muhammad speaks Hebrew, so just keep it in mind.
It doesn't make a difference. But the thing
It's
is,
fine. I don't
right?
mind.
It's yeah. So the Halakh, the Tanakh specifically, the punishment of apostasy in Judaism is death. Is death. And I'll read it to you in English, and I can also read it to you in Hebrew. So Deuteronomy 13, from verse 6 to 11. I'll read it to you in English. So it says, if your very own brother, or your son or daughter, or the wife you love, or your closest friend secretly entices you, saying, let us go and worship other gods, gods that neither you nor your fathers have known, gods of the peoples around you, whether near or far, from one end to the land to the other. Do not yield to him or listen to him. Show him no pity. Do not spare him or shield him. You must certainly put him to death. Your hand must be the first in putting him to death, and then the hands of all the people stone him to death, because he tried to turn you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt,
Wait,
out of
wait,
the
what?
land of slavery. Mm.
What? What chapter? What
Did
perek
Yeah,
pasuk?
and
pasuk
it's
What is
talking.
this?
It's
ani omer
talking
lecha.
about the prophets. Muhammad, be really be honest. It's talking about the false prophet.
No. It's not the prophet at all.
Yes, it is.
No,
It is. It's
no.
talking in this
He's telling
verse.
you.
It's talking about a false prophet. And of course, a
No.
false prophet, you
he
have
אומר
to
לך,
stone him by death.
no, כי יסיתך, אחיך, בן
How
אמך,
do you know Hebrew, by the way?
ובנך, וביתך,
Muhammad?
ואשת.
Muhammad?
Yeah.
How do you know Hebrew, by the way? I'm just curious.
I'm not just out of curiosity. I learn a lot of other languages. I see that you speak Spanish.
I will
hablar
answer
español
your
también.
question. Muhammad, maybe Muhammad is feeling uncomfortable to answer, but I think Muhammad took it on himself to learn the enemy
No.
language. The language of the enemy.
אני דובר כמה שפות אחרות, פרסית, ספרדית, אז זה לא רק עברית, אבל עברית אני חושב עליה שהיא דומה לערבית, אז יחסית קל ללמוד עברית. למשל, אם אני משווה את העברית עם סינית, בטח שעברית היא יותר קלה ללמוד למישהו שהוא מדבר ערבית מסינית, זה היה ככה.
מוחמד, איך למדת עברית?
בספר באנגלית שיש קולוקיאל היברו, זה ספר שעזר לי ללמוד בהתחלה. אחר כך אני השתמשתי באינטרנט, צפיתי וידאוים, סרטים.
אוקיי.
אבל אף פעם לא הייתי בארץ, עוד לא.
Yeah, but guys, let's go.
אתה גר במרוקו כרגע?
אני גר בצרפת, אבל אני משאירניתי, אוקיי, what did you say?
אתה גר בצרפת,
guys, hold on.
אבל זה לא משנה כלום.
So you live in a state,
זה לא משנה כלום.
Mohammed, I heard you say, if your friend takes you away,
if your brother,
if your brother
or your son or your daughter,
okay,
or the wife of you,
great. So if my aunt got married in a church, right? Now she has 2 granddaughters in Israel. So it's not about her deciding to change her religion. It's about if I come to her and if I tell her, oh, Judaism is bad, let's go some other place. But if I decide on my own and I say, Chaval al Azman, no, I'm going to become Buddhist, my rabbi is not going to do anything to me. Nobody's going to do anything to me. But it's very different. That's why Sicario was saying it's about false prophet.
No,
It,
actually, as
it,
a matter of fact, it's very specific. It doesn't tell you anything about the prophet. It mentions prophet and חולם
Yeah.
חלום זה משהו אחר, פסק מספר 5. אבל it's very clear. It's very clear. Everybody understood this. The punishment of apostasy is death. But it's not
again,
Wait, wait,
applied.
no.
wait,
It's not
wait, wait, wait,
How
applied.
can
wait,
you say
wait.
that?
It's not
Muhammad,
applied.
Muhammad,
It's not applied
Muhammad.
because there isn't what they call, there isn't the Beit Mikdash. There isn't. So there isn't Sanhedrin, and this is why it's not applied. Every no, I mean, if you are to talk to any rabbi who's knowledgeable about these things, they will tell you we don't apply these things. We don't stone even the people, for instance, מישהו שהוא לא שומר שבת, and we don't stoning him to death because there is no Sanhedrin, there is no Beit Mikdash. That's the only excuse. But they will
But
acknowledge that this is
guys,
part of the halakha.
okay.
End of story.
Hold on a second, guys. I don't want to have a theological discussion here because it's a lot more complicated, and I think most of us, I'm speaking specifically about myself. I don't think that I have enough knowledge to have.
You can bring a rabbi next time. I mean, it's not a problem. We can have discussion with someone who's knowledgeable. I would be
Listen.
with
No,
pleasure.
Muhammad, listen. You may be right. Some things in the Tanakh are very primitive. I agree. But in
Why? I think
Islam,
it's a good thing. Why aren't you? I mean, I
are
honestly.
you? Wait. But may I finish, please? Please. Thank you. But the fact of the matter is that today, Medinat Israel, Daulat Israel, is a secular state, and you have a lot of Muslim countries
Mhm.
that practice Sharia law,
Mhm.
and people are suffering because of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
That's exactly the argument. That's the point.
אני
Okay?
אוקיי, אני מקבל את אוקיי, זה טיעון שאני מקבל אותו, כי להפך,
Muhammad,
את אומר,
switch to English because we
right,
have an
actually, okay, you're saying the
But
Western
wait, but
Israel is,
actually,
yeah.
it's still not comparable in my
No,
opinion.
it is,
From
it
what
is,
I
it is,
from
and
what I
we
read,
could go. Look,
wait. From what I
Shani,
read,
mhm.
it's not still not comparable. But I do get where you're coming
I'll
from.
ask you another question, and please ask your rabbi. Please don't. I mean, don't believe my word for it, and I will not tell you the answer. According to halacha, if a Jew kills a non-Jew, what is the punishment for a Jew when he kills a non-Jew?
You're talking. We're not Muslims. We don't
According
follow
to the halacha,
religious
please,
law.
Shani, don't believe Ilyas or anything. Ask your rabbi. Tell
What
him
Wait,
to
rabbi?
show
We're
you
not Muslims. We
argument from
don't
the
ask
Talmud.
rabbis.
Right.
Muhammad, wait.
We're not Muslims, Muhammad. We don't ask our
I'm not.
religious leaders.
I'm talking about Islam at all. Why
No,
are you?
you're
We're
trying
talking
to talk
Judaism here.
about Jews as if we're Muslims. We're not
No.
Muslims.
Now
Do you
I'm making
understand?
yeah. No,
Eli,
Shani.
that's not the issue. That's not the issue. But Mohammed, this one question: if you're a woman today, would you rather live in Israel or live in Afghanistan?
Right, that's
Which
the argument.
what would
Listen.
what
That's
would be okay?
exactly the
I mean,
argument.
Today,
right? Yeah.
imagine. I don't mean any
Of course.
offense. Please don't take any offense.
No,
Why?
I'm not taking any
Where do you
offense.
think it's better to be a woman today?
I'm not taking
Eretz
any
Israel or Afghanistan?
I am not taking any offense, and I will respond to your answer from a general perspective. Of course, I have my homeland, which is Morocco, and I don't imagine that scenario. But if I am given the scenario that you're making a comparison, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know because I'm not making.
You
For me,
don't
it's not that
know.
easy.
Wait,
It's not that easy because, well, I mean, you're making the argument that Afghans are bad people and living amongst Afghans is forcibly a bad thing. I don't think so. I don't think it's a nightmare to live with Afghan people. I don't think there are
Living with Afghans is better.
That's not the issue. That's
Muhammad,
not the
you
issue.
do
better than
not
Israelis.
understand. You do not
Living with Afghans is better.
understand. Do
Living
you
with
know
Afghans is
what it
better.
is? Do you know what happens in Afghanistan right now?
What I'm saying, okay, so what I'm saying is that it depends. If someone, for instance, if someone, even Jewish person, if a Jewish person wants to live in a society according to the Jewish religion, and you want really to apply all the details of the Jewish religion, they would have a hard time even living in Israel now.
No, you can't. You can. That's
No,
fine.
you
You
cannot.
can't.
You
You
cannot.
can't. You
Wallahi, you
can, and
cannot.
that's fine. And that's
No, you cannot.
fine.
You cannot.
And
You,
that's fine.
Shani, Shani.
But you
Yeah,
you don't
Shani. By your own
realize the
admission.
Muslims
Yeah.
do
By your own,
exactly that. They apply
admission. Yeah.
every single thing of Islam, and that's the problem. That's the
Right.
argument. That's what you
By
don't
your
understand.
yeah, Shani. By your own admission, you're making the statement that you repudiated the halakha for you to have a modern state, And the mistake of the Muslims is that some did not repudiate the Sharia and they still uphold the Sharia. While the Jews have already, for the major part, repudiated the halakha and they
Chas
think of the halakha
v'chalila, chas
as something horrible.
v'chalila. Come on,
That's
come
the
on.
argument. I mean, that's the
Chas
argument.
So,
v'chalila. That's not the issue.
okay. So, Muhammad, I'm asking you again. I heard your answer, but I want the room to hear your answer again for the newcomers. So, how do you explain the situation in all the Muslim countries, specifically our neighbors, let's say for like Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, why their political and financial situation is so bad? How do you explain that?
Whole political governance. When you have,
No. What are they applying? Are they
they don't apply
applying?
Sharia law in Egypt. I'm not aware of Egypt
No, for
But
sure, for
having
sure. You're right, you're right, you're
apostasy
right.
no, it's not right. It's not right, and I will
They
explain
don't
why.
apply Sharia law in
Because
Egypt.
hold on a second, David. Because in Egypt, if you're going to say there is no God and I'm not believe in the Prophet Muhammad, you're going to go to jail.
No, but I mean,
That's simple.
they have their Christians. The Christians do not believe in the Prophet Muhammad. So what's the
Listen, a
point?
Christian was just murdered in Egypt. What are you talking about? A Coptic Egyptian Christian was just murdered in Egypt. What are you
But
talking about?
that's as if I am to tell you, oh, there is this Muslim guy who was murdered because Muslims in New Zealand, 40 Muslims were
No,
murdered in
nothing
New Zealand, and then
happened. Nothing,
I will make it about
nothing
New Zealand.
happened to
It's
the
not
guy.
about New Zealand. It's not about
Muhammad,
New Zealand. It's about some mad person who was
Muhammad,
horrible and killed a minority person.
Muhammad, do you
States
deny
policy.
Muhammad?
This
Hold on a second,
isn't
Muhammad. Do
condemned.
you,
This isn't condemned in Egypt.
Of course,
That's
it's
the
condemned.
problem. This
Of
Muhammad,
course,
isn't
the
do you
Egyptian
condemned.
state has no
Muslims don't
policy of
care.
persecuting the
They
minorities.
don't
That's for sure.
care. They don't care.
Muhammad, do you deny the fact that if a Muslim person in Egypt will say that from this point and I'm not believing in God and I don't believe in the Prophet Muhammad, do you deny that he's going to jail in a best case scenario?
No, I will give you an example because maybe you're aware. I mean, like you read. That's the problem with Israelis. They only need read
We are
one
always
thing
the
here, one
problem.
thing
We
there,
know
and I
that.
will give you an example.
What do you mean the problem with
In 2000,
Israelis?
in the
This is
2000s, in the
no.
2000s, there was
This
a.
is all Western
Let me finish just the
countries.
argument, please. Let me just finish the argument, please. In the 2000s, there was a famous case of a couple, a man and a woman. They converted to Christianity. The name of the guy, Muhammad Hijazi. So look him up, Shani. So they said they made a whole fuss about it in Egyptian media in the 2000s. They said we converted to Christianity. We want the mention of Christian being in our ID. We want to change our religious affiliation in our ID from Muslim to Christian because usually. Just like what happened in Israel, and we can talk about that. When a Jewish person in Israel converts to Islam and they want to go to the Israeli, and it happens, it's very rare, but it happens when they want to go to the Israeli administrations and want to change the mention of their nationality from Yahudi to something else, it's a very problematic. So these couple
It's a
make
difference between a problematic situation and be
these
afraid
people,
to
yeah.
be
So
to be
this
killed
couple
for.
made a whole fuss about it in the 2000s, and there were a lot of media attention. At the end of the day, the guy Muhammad Hijazi he came back to Islam. His wife remained Christian, and she divorced him. At the end of the day, it happened.
Because he's
It
being
had
threatened.
the
Let's
media
be honest,
attention. No
Muhammad is
one went
being
to prison.
threatened.
No one went to prison. That's what point. No one went to
Muhammad, you're
prison.
trying to confuse us with the
I'm not
facts,
confusing
okay?
you. I'm giving you an
You're
example that had
trying, but you're
media
trying.
attention. Because if
We
I'm to
have
talk to you
people,
about A and B,
Muhammad, we
you would
have
like
Can
to
you
have
people.
guys
proofs. I'm giving you proofs.
stop speaking over each other? Shimi, can you please go on? I couldn't
Okay,
hear
thank
you.
you. Okay, so again, Muhammad, you are trying to confuse us with the fact. Here on
No, Muhammad.
Clubhouse, we have people that came from Muslim countries, and they tell us the real story. They hide from their community because they're being threatened that they decided, as you said, to convert to other religion or just
No,
simply,
they're
stop
exaggerating.
believing.
They're exaggerating, and they want
Okay,
to play
No, this is
victimhood.
a real problem that
No, it's not a real
happened.
problem. It's not a
What do
real problem.
you mean?
I
Are you
mean, because
serious?
I come from a Muslim country, and I know a lot of people that are not no longer
Are
Muslims
you
in
serious?
yes
Oh
in
my
my country,
God.
and no one do any harm to them. I do know that for a fact. So, I mean, I don't I know personally, in Morocco, many Moroccan atheists, and no one would bother them. I know Egyptian atheists who live back in Egypt. No one would bother them. It's only people would exaggerate, but I have no control about others' narrative.
This
They're
isn't.
entitled to have their own version of their life.
I'm not talking country wise. I'm talking village wise. I'm talking society wise. I'm not
I don't know.
talking
If you're talking village
specific
wise, then
countries.
you can also have the case. I mean, like you do.
Listen. I live
Mhm,
in Israel, right?
mhm,
Right?
mhm.
And there's a village that lives in the Judea and Samaria that are originally Jews,
Gadam Arabi.
right?
Okay. Mhm.
It's called
No,
Judea
no,
and
no
Samaria.
Agadam. No,
This is a
no.
colonial
Let
term.
Judea and
Listen.
Samaria, Muhammad. No Agadam
The Gadam
Arabi.
Arabi.
Wait, can I please speak? Thank
Sure.
you. Can you please mute? Thank you. This is Judea and Samaria. I don't go by colonial terms like West Bank. Okay, thank you. I'm indigenous to the land. I'm Jewish, so I'm indigenous. So basically, what I was trying to say is that there is a tribe called the Mahamra tribe, which are originally Jewish, okay, and they got forcefully converted to Islam, and they live now in, I think, either Shem or Hebron. I'm not sure, but they are constantly harassed by the Muslims, and they are Muslims. They practice Islam. They are Muslim. They are very proud to be Muslims. Of course, some of them came back to the nation of Israel and converted to Judaism, but it's a very minority. Okay, but that tribe, Mahamra, are practicing Islam right now and are being the Muslims there in the village are being very, very hostile to them, even though
On which
they are
grounds?
considered Muslims.
On which grounds?
Because they're Jews, or either because some of them want to return to the nation of Israel, or because they think that they are considered traitors.
Okay. So I didn't understand. So you're saying that because if someone converts to Islam from Judaism forcefully or from their own will, then
No.
Muslims don't like that. I don't understand this.
No. I'm saying
Mhm,
that Muslims harassing people that
mhm.
either converted or are originally Jews or anything of that sort
Mhm.
is a real problem that happens in Muslim societies, not just,
So
of
your
course, in
argument is
Israel.
that okay. So your argument is that
Yeah.
a Muslim. I would go to the bottom of it because I don't like I'm a frank person. You might have figured out that. So you're saying that in Islam there is no room for Jews to live.
No. Listen.
Okay.
You're misunderstanding me.
So please make it
Okay.
precise because I want to understand what you want to point at. Yeah.
Listen. What I was trying to get at is that there is a real problem that happens in the Muslim community of Muslim targeting either converts or Jews or any of that sort, even if they converted to Islam or if they want to leave Islam. That's exactly my point. Okay, I just gave an example.
And you think they do it out of kin'a or out of
No. What?
Sovlanut or what is yeah,
No. Listen, they do it just because. I mean,
because there is a place
it
because
is
there is a
part
verse
of
in the Quran that tells them to do so. In
it
which
is
case, I would
part.
ask you for the
I
verse.
believe.
Yeah,
Wait, so let me explain. I believe that it is part of the culture. Yes.
it's part of the culture, it's part of the human societies, or part of Islam. What
No,
is
it's
it?
a part of the Islamic and
Of
Arab
Islamic culture. So
culture.
we have a verse that actually tells us if someone, they are Muslims of Jewish descent, make life as hell to them.
No. There
Okay.
is anti-Semitism in Islam, and
No, I mean,
it has
let us
been
not spread all over
documented
the
and
place, but
recorded.
just here, I just
Wait,
want to
can
understand your
I
point.
please speak? Wait. I
Yeah.
want to explain myself because you find it hard to understand. There is anti-Semitism in Islam. There is hostility towards Christians in Islam. You in your Quran, there's a verse that you call Jews, pigs, and apes.
No,
Okay,
it doesn't say so. No, no.
wait,
Shani, please recite me
can
the
I
verse.
finish?
Recite me the verse. Recite me the
Can
verse.
I please
Yeah,
finish?
I know. Please, Shani, I'm asking you for a favor. I'm telling you, bring that verse and read it, please. I want to be trapped.
I'm not near a computer,
Okay,
Muhammad. We
can
can do it in a
I'm near a
different
computer,
room.
so I will look it up. You continue speaking, and I will find the verse and read it to you. Okay?
Listen,
What's the verse,
it's
Muhammad?
It's a verse that I'm going to find and read it to all
I
of
just
you.
want to finish my sentence, and I'm gonna leave because I need to go.
Shani, ani
In
abroch.
Islam,
At nicht eret po, ani abroch. So please, just stay.
wait, but I need to leave. I'm just saying that anti-Semitism exists in Islam. It's not something that you can deny. Okay. Hostility
I
towards
disagree with that.
Christians and non-believers, especially non-believers, is a thing in Islam. And of course, you have the problem of pedophilia in Islam and other things, among things that are exactly the reason why Muslim countries are in the state that they're at right now.
Okay, so give me the verse that recommends pedophilia in Islam. I'm listening to you because we have a Sharia. So we have something like halakha.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So
I can give you.
because now
I don't remember.
Yeah,
listen,
you interrupt me.
I don't remember the numbers.
I'm going to reverse the question for you. Okay, I'm going to reverse the question for you. So you're saying you're making the argument because it's a positive argument, the one that you're making. I mean, the positive argument, namely, you're saying Islam commands pedophilia, or Islam is conducive to pedophilia, right? So I'm asking you, on which ground you're saying that?
Okay, how old was
Even
Aisha?
if you don't remember,
how old was Aisha when Muhammad married her?
When he was engaged to her, she was 6, and when they married, consumed their marriage, she was 9.
Okay, so what is that? Isn't that pedophilia?
No.
Really?
I will tell you why.
Muhammad,
I'll tell you why.
Wait.
Okay.
Muhammad,
No, I will tell you why. Because please, don't make it about
You're
me.
not serious right now.
I have one question.
I'm serious, and I will tell you why. I'm serious. I'll tell you why. First of all, okay.
I have one question.
Yeah, I will take your question, Sicario, but I will just finish this thing. First of all, I can ask you the question about what is, according to the Bible, what is the minimum age of marriage. Second, even if such a thing were,
I don't follow the Bible.
Please.
If such a thing were considered, please, you're doing. Wait, Muhammad, you're doing what many Muslims do, which is whataboutism.
Of course, I do whataboutism.
I'm not.
It is whataboutism.
Listen.
But let me finish.
I do not care about the Bible right
Shani,
now. I do not care about other religions.
Yeah, okay,
you face your own scriptures and your own writings.
I don't. That's the difference between.
Stop changing the subject.
That's the
this
main
is what
difference.
a lot of Muslims do.
That's the main difference between the Muslims and the Jews. It's a main difference. The difference is that when you ask a Muslim about their Sharia, they own it. The Jews don't own their Sharia. That's the problem. That's the main difference.
We have no Sharia.
No, you have it, but you don't own it. You're ashamed of it.
We have no
You are
such thing
ashamed.
as Sharia.
That's the problem.
We have
That's the main difference. Because if I'm to tell you what is the minimum age of marriage in Judaism, then you would go, no, there is this Hakam who says that 12 years old.
There is no minimum
it's very
age.
clear.
I'm sorry.
The minimum age of sexual consent in Judaism is below the 6 years old of the engagement, even the 9 years old in which
you are delusional.
That's not true.
Muhammad, you are delusional. You're making up lies.
I'm not making it delusional.
You're doing taqiyya.
Maybe Sicario has an answer to that. But anyways, so what I'm saying.
You are
doing
I
have a question. I have a question.
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
I was listening for half an hour.
I couldn't finish my answer, but I would.
Please, I have a question to you, Mohammed. So, to break it down, the halacha means, or it's included, it's all about the 613 commandments. So I have a question to you. What has much more authority, the word of God or the word of a man?
The word of God.
Thank you. So what does it mean? It does mean that the halacha, the 613 commandments, are each one in the Torah. So therefore, it is the word of God. So now you have to explain me where I can find one Sharia law in the Quran, because your Sharia is man-made, and you compared 1 hour ago the halacha with the Sharia, and you told to the people here that the Sharia is much more progressive and it's much more better
than halacha.
So now you refute yourself, because your Sharia is man-made and our halacha is made by God.
Okay. So I will answer to that, and then I will come back to what I was telling Shani. It doesn't make any difference, because actually what you're saying right now, to be specific, because we also believe that the Quran is a revelation from God. But if you are specific to be, for instance, to talk about apostasy, we don't have the punishment of apostasy in Quran, so we have it in Hadith. So yes, it's a tradition that is given to us
No,
by
you
the
follow
Prophet Muhammad.
hadith.
Please let me
You
finish,
follow hadith
Shani.
as well.
Shani,
No.
please let me finish. The Hadith, it's the punishment for apostasy. It's in the Hadith. We don't have it in the Quran. But then I will ask you, what?
Yes.
That's part of
Please let me
Sharia
finish,
law.
But
Shani.
Shaniq,
Rega.
now you
give him
refute yourself. Now, one
Please.
second. So now all the
No,
people
I
can
didn't
listen
finish.
here.
Wallahi, I didn't
All
finish.
the people
I
can
was in the
listen here
middle of the sentence. I
that
was in the middle of the sentence.
our
guys,
halacha is
let's give
made
Muhammad
by
a
God.
chance.
I was in the middle. I was in the
Guys,
middle.
let's give Muhammad a chance to complete the
Yeah.
sentence.
What
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying here is that, so you, and I will come back to this man God thing, because actually most of the most of the jurisprudence that is applied now within Judaism, and we've got Rabbi Asher here with us, is in the Talmud, and we have also
We don't care
please let
about
me
Rabbi
finish,
Asher.
Sikario, please. And you also have the principle of Tohalu Bishamayim, and actually the rabbis could rule differently from things that are very clear in the Torah, etc. But what I'm telling you is that you're making the argument that because the apostasy law, because the punishment for apostasy is clear in the Torah and it comes from God, then it is better than the punishment of apostasy in Islam, because we don't have it in the Quran, we have it in the Hadith.
No,
I mean, I
excuse
can't
me. You
understand what is
follow
the
hadith.
point here.
You follow hadith, part of your Sharia law. This is a lie.
Just like you follow the Talmud,
No,
part
this
of the
is
Sharia, part
this
of the
is a
Sharia.
not all Jews follow Talmud. Not all Jews are
The Qarai, yes, the
rabbinic
Qarais,
Jews.
but the Qarais are a
Excuse
minority
me.
within Jews.
Wait. But Israel isn't a halakha state. Excuse me. This
It
is
is not.
a
I
secular
agree.
state.
I agree. This is
That's
why.
fine. So
This is
what you
why.
do,
No, this is why I'm saying.
wait. Can I speak? Wait
Sure.
a minute, please. So what you do is whataboutism, and this is a lot of Muslims doing
No,
it.
not
A
at
lot of
all.
Muslims,
No.
a lot of Muslims. I debate with a lot of Muslims. Okay, I speak
Mm-hmm.
to them a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
try to learn as much as I can.
Right.
Okay, but when they face something that they don't like, when I read to
No.
them their
Who
own,
told you that I didn't like? No,
wait,
you
Muhammad,
making that assumption on your
wait,
end.
Muhammad,
No, you making
wait,
that assumption on your end.
wait.
Muhammad, let her complete what you want to say. Go ahead, Shaniq.
Listen. When I face with a lot of Muslims, when I speak to them and I do a lot of debates with them and I try to learn as much as I can, I face with a lot of whataboutism, which means that when I read something that they don't like, for example, when you can beat women in Islam, or when you, with the Prophet Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 and consummated the marriage when she was 9. They don't like to hear it. They say, "Oh, why are you being Islamophobic?" What do you mean? I'm reading your own
No, please,
writings.
make it
I'm
about
reading
me,
your
not
own
about others.
scriptures.
I didn't tell you you're
But this
Islamophobic
is
because of that.
exactly what you're doing, Muhammad. This is
No, not at
exactly
all.
what you're doing.
Actually,
You're
no.
bringing up the
Shani.
Bible. We are bringing
We
up the Bible.
no.
Excuse me, can I finish?
Not at all, because actually the premise was, when you came to the room, the premise was that you're saying, you made that statement, and I asked you the direct question. I told you, is the halakha better than the Sharia? You say
It is.
yes. Okay.
Of course it is.
So
Do
please
I
let me
prefer
finish.
to live? Do
Let
I
me
prefer to
finish.
live in
I
Al-Akha
will
instead of
do like
Sharia?
Ishaq Amun
Of
does.
course I do.
Please,
No, wait. Do I prefer to
rega.
live in Al-Akha instead of
Tell
Sharia?
me
Of course I
please.
do. And a lot of
Please.
people
So yeah,
will say
exactly.
the same as
Please. So when I ask you the direct question, and I had the answer from you, an affirmative, that it is the halakha is better than the Sharia, then please don't bring the topic of Israel being secular or halakha state. We're not talking. We're comparing oranges to oranges. Don't make the argument about Israel
but
secular
let
or
me
not secular.
understand. Okay, let me ask you this. Wasn't your argument about Muslim countries and the political
We were
situation
talking
they're
about
in right
something
now?
else, about that religion. I've said it's not having nothing to do with Islam. You want to make
But
it
the
about Islam.
argument when I entered the
Mhm.
conversation was about this, isn't it, Shimi?
Yes, it was about, is poverty or richness of a country is tied to the ideology of the country, and if in that case Islam was the one conducive to poverty and regress in those countries. And my argument was that no, it's had nothing to do with Islam, being it progress, conducive to progress or not, you have some other much more objective measures by which or means for a society to progress or not, which are political, which have to do with the governance.
It's only so Muhammad. It's only by chance that those countries that are Muslim countries. Guys, excuse me, guys, can you mute your mics? There is a lot of background noise coming from your side. Thank you.
Muslim countries and Christian countries and a lot of countries.
No, but I can give you a lot of secular and very prosper countries that are Christian, but I cannot have the same thing. I cannot say the same thing for Muslim countries. For some reason, you're refusing to admit the fact that there is a connection to Islam.
No, you want to make it. I mean, you want to make it in your mind. That's you're free, entitled to do that, to have that opinion, because it makes life easier
guys,
for you.
listen. La halakha is the same thing as Sharia, okay? And this is a more Tammany perspective.
You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what kind of rabbi you are.
I'm telling you.
Excuse me. I don't know what kind of rabbi
and
you
there are no punishments in the Torah for
from.
apostasy.
You are not.
There's a distinction between halakha and mitzvot. The halachot come here. Can I finish, please? You could correct me after you hear what I have to say. The halachot are man-made. The Beit Din Hagadol, the court, basically had the same authority from a Jewish perspective, from what the authors of the Hadith had in creating laws for Islam. The punishments for apostasy are only in the Talmud and the Mishnah. The Torah has punishments for idolatry. It's two different things. The mitzvot are from the Torah, the halachot are from the rabbis. And the rabbis, we believe, have their authority from Parshat Shoftim. The Torah tells us to listen to the court, okay? But the halachot were not given by God. The mitzvot were given by God. So what we call halakha is the same thing Muslims call Sharia. Islam is really a form of twisted Judaism. Islam came out of Judaism. There's many things in Islam that are directly from Judaism, like the hijab, praying 5 times a day, right? It's not just praying 3 times a day. Jews actually have 5 different times of prayer. Islam is very similar to Judaism, but in terms of their legal structure, it's virtually identical. Even a noai, the notion of a dhimmi, exists in Judaism also. I'm just saying, we have to be honest when we discuss these things.
Shimmy, is this Rabbi Asher speaking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Please, can he? I can't do this. He is not even.
Please correct me according to halakha.
Please.
According to
halakha,
off the
stage, please.
You are not a rabbi. People here are saying that you are not
Shani,
a rabbi even.
This is not
no, wait, please, can I speak? Wait, can I speak, please? Are you saying that the same God of Judaism is the same God of Islam? Yes or no?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm not saying that. I believe actually that Islam is a form of Avodah Zarah. Okay, and I'm disagreeing with the Rambam on this. Okay, however, the legal structure is very similar.
I mean, the fact.
No.
I mean,
have you even read Hadith? Have you even read Quran? What are you talking about?
The legal structure, what they call Hadith, is what we call Agadah. Okay,
that's
but within their Hadith, they extract
fine,
Sharia.
But the context is not the same.
No, I'm not saying the laws are the same. I'm saying the structure is the same.
No, but Rabbi,
it's not that the same, but I get what you're
saying. Okay, I have a different.
You can't even compare.
Guys, hold on a second. I have a question for the rabbi. Okay, so it will be, at least for me, a lot easier to understand what you're saying. Can you explain us, please, what is the difference between Judaism and Islam?
Well, the main difference is that they believe the Torah is corrupted. We don't believe that Muhammad was a messenger or a prophet. And they essentially, in my opinion, believe in a different God, even though the word Allah comes from the word Eloah, but being that God expects different things from you, we can't acknowledge that it's the same God. So that's the major thing. Torah is the major distinction. They don't believe that the Torah we have today is the correct one.
Which is a rabbi, a scientific fact. I mean, like the fact that the Torah is not a revelation from God, and it is a
different argument. I mean, it's a non sequitur.
It's not the claim of Islam. Now.
It's a different argument.
Established fact.
It's a different argument. I mean, it's a non sequitur with what you guys are talking about. Well, it's a fact to Muslims, but I'm just trying to correct what I think was inaccurate. I'm not trying to tell you that what a Muslim should believe within Islam. I'm just saying the differences between Judaism and Islam are in terms of structure, they're minute. In terms of practice, they're different.
Okay, so again, I don't want to have, because again, I don't have enough knowledge, and I didn't educate myself in the Tanakh or the Torah, so I don't want to have
But Shimi, I
a
have a question.
theological discussion here.
Yeah.
What I do want to have, and excuse me, and what I do want to understand, why again, why the political and financial situation in the Muslim countries are so bad relative to the Western countries.
Well, I'll tell
One
you,
of them, by the
Israel
way, is Islam.
is a secular country. If Israel was
Right.
run by Satmar, Bubov, Telz, Breslov, it would probably be
I
in the
agree with
exact
you. I agree
situation.
with you.
Excuse me,
I agree with you.
Rabbi. Are you doing whataboutism again?
No,
Please,
no.
please,
I mean,
can you stop?
we're
Can you
comparing
stop?
apples with apples here.
Exactly.
Islamic
No, because
republics.
it's not the facts on the ground. It's the מדינת ישראל. זה לא מדינת הלכה, אני מצטערת.
שני, מה את אומרת
It's a
עכשיו?
secular country. Islamic countries that run from a secular perspective are also prosperous. But look at Dubai, okay?
שני, מה את
This
עושה?
is
רוב
not
הישראלים
Shimi's
אומרים אותו.
argument at all.
הישראלים,
What
יש
this
לי
is...
את התחושה הזאת שישראלים הם מתביישים מההלכה. מתביישים
לא,
מהדת שלהם.
בכלל לא.
וואלה הם
בכלל לא.
מתביישים.
No,
I'm not
you are
even religious.
זה מה
you are
שאני
wrong,
חושש, כי
Muhammad.
כשאנחנו מדברים על הדת הם אומרים, אנחנו לא יודעים טוב על
Israel is less
הדת
than
שלהם,
10%
אבל
religious.
אנחנו יודעים את זה,
Okay.
אנחנו יודעים שיהדות היא יותר טובה מאסלאם, את זה אנחנו יודעים, אבל כשאנחנו מדברים על הפרטים, לא, אנחנו יודעים. אז אם אתם שופטים, זה יעני שאתם מבינים, אם אתם לא מבינים, לא, אל תשפטו.
אבל תקשיב, אתה מפספס את הנקודה, מוחמד. הנקודה היא שכרגע אין מדינה שהיא פועלת על פי ההלכה. יש המון מדינות מוסלמיות שפועלות על ידי שריעה לא. זאת בדיוק הנקודה של שימי.
אבל בסופו של הדבר, אם אנחנו משווים דבר, אם אנחנו משווים שריעה,
אבל אנחנו לא, כי זה לא המציאות, אני מצטערת.
להלכה, לא נשווה את השריעה.
Guys, switch to English. Muhammad, switch to English, please.
If we are to compare the Sharia, we have to compare it to halakha. I cannot compare Sharia to secular law.
No, again with about whataboutism. Please,
no, that's
can
the
you
only
refer
thing.
to
No,
Shimi's
I cannot
question?
compare.
Can
There's
you
no
refer
comparison.
to Shimi's question?
Because
Shimi
when we
wants
talk
to
about
know.
the Sharia.
No, Shimi wants to know. He has a specific question. He wants to know what is Shimi. What's your question again?
Again, my question is why in the Muslim countries the political and economical situation is so bad.
Why is it bad in Moldavia?
To the question.
Why is it,
can you
yeah,
please wait?
To
can
me,
you please, Muhammad, wait?
That's a
Can
stupid
you
question.
please? No, it's because you are insulted by it. Excuse me.
I'm not.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Because actually it's a question. It is a question that ignores the fact that most of the countries in the world are having a lot of struggles. Zimbabwe, Namibia, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Philippines, Cambodia.
But we are talking about the Muslim countries.
Sure, but you want to
try
make
again with the whataboutism. You
it's
always
not whataboutism.
If
we
this
want
is
to
part
talk
of your
about,
culture.
if we want to talk about why a country is not is advanced or not, we have to talk about its historical economic history. The history of its economy, of its development, of its governance. If you want to have that conversation,
then talk about Lebanon.
We can have it. But if you are starting this conversation with a foregone conclusion of the fact that it is because of Islam, then there will be no conversation in the start.
Muhammad, you know one thing. The only constant with your arguments is that always the other side is guilty. Always the other side. Yeah.
No,
I lived in Israel for 5 years. Anything that the religious people control, from conversion to marriage, is a balagan. Okay, religious people. If Israel was a religious country, 100%, if it was run by Satmar or anyone from Meir Sharim Goula, it would resemble Pakistan.
But we're not talking about this right
That's
now.
That's exactly what you're saying. Islamic republics are religious countries. That's why.
Whataboutism. You're doing whataboutism again. You always do it.
I want, guys, hold on a second. I want to give you a summary about my discussion with Muhammad, because you came in the middle of the discussion. Muhammad said basically that we spoke about the Jewish achievements, like the Nobel Prize, and all that. And what Muhammad explanation for that was that the Jews actually, you know what? It would be a lot better if Muhammad, can you please repeat what you just said
Okay.
to
In
me,
summary,
to the
in
rest of the room?
summary, what
Thank you.
I've said that if, the fact that Israel is more progressive, or that the Jews won a Nobel Prize, has to do with the fact that the Jews had the particularity to them, which are they were a minority, the only minority, as a matter of fact, that lived in Europe. And starting from the 18th century with the Haskalah, some Jews have decided that Talmud Torah was not enough for them, and that they were impressed by the achievements of Western civilizations. So they decided to go to Western schools where they had Goy teachers. The Goyim, they've taught them mathematics, modern physics, and all of that stuff. And because those Jews were so eager to learn these things, because it's a minority that was persecuted, there was a lot of prejudice towards it, and they were very thirsty for that secular knowledge. They blossomed in that society of the Goys. The Goys have given them the science, they told them the science, and they were part of these societies. So with these societies stopped from being religious societies and become secular societies, they started giving citizenship to the Jews in Prussia in the 18th century, and then in France by the end of the 18th century. The Jews were become citizens. They were dhimmis, they were not citizens before that. They were subjects, but they were not citizens. Then they started contributing to these countries. They started also learning and becoming a part of the whole progress of the West. Now,
Okay.
we cannot ascribe that to Judaism the slightest. It has nothing to do with Judaism. That's what I'm saying.
So my next question was, so what is wrong with the Muslim countries? Why from the Muslim countries we cannot find people that achieved
So Muhammad was correct. It has nothing to do with Judaism. If you look at the Nobel Prize winners, they're almost all atheists.
No,
They're
okay,
atheistical Jews.
Rabbi, hold on a second. So, okay, let's say,
Can you
for
please
the sake,
define Judaism?
hold on a second, Shani, hold on a second. So let's say for the sake of argument that Muhammad right, okay? So I'm asking myself, so what is so wrong with the Muslim countries? Why I cannot find someone that achieve an academic
as an individual, or as a country, it's different, because there are many Muslims who achieved a lot individually. What are you talking about?
Can I please add something to what was said before? I just wanted to add something.
Go ahead.
I have a question. What is Judaism? Can someone please define Judaism? What is Judaism? Yes, Muhammad.
All right,
Go
so
ahead.
Judaism is the belief in Torah Shabbat, which is the written law, and Torah Shabbat Peh. Okay.
Excuse me, Rabbi. I just wanted to get an answer from Muhammad. I'm sorry. Yes, Muhammad.
I think Rabbi is more knowledgeable than I am, and I think that's the understanding. Actually, the Jews
He's wrong, but never mind.
have always regarded themselves as much more. I will develop that. Okay, as a religious entity than an ethnic entity. Although there is that element to it, and I will explain to you why. Let us take, for example, a simple example. We know from the gospel, the Christian gospel, and also it's known to the Jews, that in the first century AD, they were ruled by a guy, an exarch, who's Herdus. Okay, everybody knows what Herdus is. So Herdus, ethnically speaking, he was a ger. Ethnically speaking, he was a Jordanian ruling over
I'm sorry,
Israel.
what does this have to do with anything?
I will tell you why.
I wanted to
That
get a
understanding
simple
that Judaism,
definition.
yeah,
Wait,
that
Muhammad,
understanding,
please. I just
yeah,
want a simple definition
it's the
to
one that the Rabbi
Judaism, if
provided.
that's
That
okay by you.
understanding, yeah, that understanding that the Jew,
Muhammad, please don't confuse us with a lot of facts.
the understanding that the Jew is something ethnic is a very modern concept. In the past, when a Jew would convert away from,
you are denying ethnicity. You are denying my ethnicity.
I'm not denying.
That's what you're doing.
So Muhammad is correct.
Not a modern thing.
Yeah, Muhammad.
Muhammad is correct.
I'm saying it does not explain the whole Judaism thing.
Yeah, Muhammad.
Jews are an ethno-religion. Okay, they were always an ethno-religion.
No, that's a modern concept.
Not a modern
right,
thing.
correct.
No,
that's a modern concept.
No,
yes, it is.
Rabbi, no.
Right, so secular Jews have to solidify their identity with something. So now they have the state of Israel. But before that, in the times of the Talmud, when someone stopped practicing Judaism, the parents would sit Shiva. Why?
No. An ethno-religion, always a nation, the nation of Israel.
And this is
Listen,
also in the Tanakh mentioned, Rabbi. Sorry for educating you. It's also in the Tanakh mentioned. So please read
Where?
Leviticus.
Where in the Tanakh does it say it? Nowhere in the Tanakh do secular
The
listen,
Jews
mother
appear.
brings the mother brings the mother brings the faith, and the father the tribe. It's very clear in
listen,
Leviticus.
listen. Whatever way you look at it,
But as a
we
former
are.
Christian, you don't. As a former Christian converted to, I don't know to what kind of Judaism, or
Now you're
of
being
course you don't want
insulting.
to believe.
And so
About
it's
the
interesting
guy.
when you can't debate,
No,
you start to defame
I'm
people.
not insulting.
Okay.
I'm not insulting.
All right,
And
so
now I'm
debate me
speaking in
and show me the
Spanish because
sources.
now I'm speaking in
All right, so
Spanish
bring your
because you talk
rabbi
Spanish.
and have him
¿Por qué
debate
no
me
te
then.
vas? ¿Por qué no te vas de aquí? ¿Por qué no te vas de aquí?
You see?
Muchas gracias.
Yeah.
So you're doing the same thing
Who's talking that?
to
Who
me that
said
you're doing
that?
to Muhammad.
Listen, yeah,
You're writing us
Who
off like just because you can't
said
debate
that en
properly.
listen,
español?
listen,
¿Quién
listen,
dijo
listen.
eso?
Of course I
¿Quién
can
dijo
debate you. Of
eso?
course.
Who said that?
I don't know.
Okay, guys,
Listen,
guys,
let me tell you
hold on,
something. We
What the hell? You guys can't have a civil conversation.
let's tell you the Shnia.
hold
Shimi,
on
tell
a
you the
second,
Passion.
guys, hold on a second. I want to give. I'm seeing that Ellie tries to say something, so go ahead, Ellie. Say what you want.
As
What do you want to say?
listen, we're the Jewish people. If someone converts, they join the Jewish people. We have a belief system. As I'll tell you, Muhammad, أنا بقول لك بالعربي. نحن الشعب يهودي. نحن الشعب يهودي كل واحد يهودي ومن الشعب يهودي نحن قابل الإسلام والقابل المسيحيون ونحن مو دين ما فيش دين يهودي نحن الشعب اليهودي. We're before religion. You're looking at us through a Muslim lens, through the lens of a new religion.
Yeah.
Muhammad, your religion is new. دينك هيدا حلو بس
But
هيدا
it's
جديد.
nothing.
Your religion
That's
is
not an
beautiful.
argument. That's not an argument, Ellie. I think you're smarter
You
than
don't
that.
tell
No,
me.
you're
You're more than that.
denying my ethnicity. You're denying my ethnic
No,
I'm not.
actually,
background.
you're
Muhammad.
Yes, you are. You
saying
are being
no. You're
anti-Semitic.
saying that
You're
But
actually.
Judaism is
denying
denying your
everything.
ethnicity. Nowhere in the Talmud does the notion of an ethnic Jew exist. A Jew who doesn't keep Torah.
Rabbi, you can leave. You can leave.
Well, no, I'm just saying
I've been told that
you're
you're not
speaking in
even
behalf
Jewish.
of Judaism. Okay, so then have a rabbi come challenge
You go
me from a
to
halakhic
Google
perspective.
and you Google what is Judaism and then come back. You don't even know.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
we're not.
Wikipedia. According
Okay, listen.
according to halakha, a Jew is someone who keeps commandments and identifies with the God of Israel.
Send
Now,
this rabbi,
halakhically,
send
you
this
could
guy
be
down
Jewish.
to the
Halakhically, it has
send
nothing to do
send
with
this
picking
guy
each other with
down.
God.
He's all he's gonna
Can you
do.
please?
All he's gonna do. All this guy's gonna do.
He's making a sound argument.
Send him down to the audience.
Okay,
No. I mean,
שימי, אתה יודע מי זה הבן אדם הזה? שימי, אתה יודע מי זה הבן אדם הזה?
לא, אני לא יודע.
אז אני אגיד לך, זה בן אדם קצת בעייתי, בסדר? בלשון המעטה. בסדר?
אוקיי.
הוא מנומס, הוא לא עושה כלום, הוא מדבר איתכם.
מוחמד, לא, תן לו לדבר בבקשה, תן לו לדבר.
Okay, guys. Okay.
If you guys kick me out, it's because we lost the argument.
Hold on, Rabbi, please. Hold on a second. I want to be fair to all sides, even if I do not agree, and even if it's making me uncomfortable. I want to hear everybody. Okay. So what I want to do is actually, Rabbi, I'm going to give you a chance to say your piece, okay? And then I want to hear the rest of the room, okay? Is it fair for you?
Sure. I was just responding to what they were saying. I wasn't really making any statements.
Okay, so go ahead. Say whatever you want to say.
Oh, sure. So, I mean, from the beginning, I was just saying that the structure, the legal structure between Islam and Judaism is virtually identical. The structure, I'm not saying the laws, okay? Now, there's always been a distinction between Haredim and essentially Chilonim on what is a Jew. The Haredi approach is that someone who doesn't keep Torah could halakhically still be liable to the punishment, but he's not in any covenant with God. He's not, for all intents and purposes, a Jew. It calls him kegoy in halakha. So that is the religious approach to secular Jews. I know secular Jews nowadays, because of Medinat Israel, that's how they identify as a people. Now, anything could be essentially an ethnicity, but we're talking about religion. Just like you're comparing Islam with the state of Israel, which doesn't compare. You have to compare apples with apples. My approach to this is that if Israel was run by religious Jews, and Israel is really only around 12% religious, it would resemble poorer Islamic countries. Because Islam, it's hard to be a secular Muslim. Once you start identifying with the tenets of Islam, you're automatically an infidel, a non-Muslim, right? Islamic republics are going to look the same as religious Jewish republics that don't exist.
But
Clearly, if
Rabbi,
Israel was
just one.
fully
Okay, so
Rabbi,
no,
just one
yeah,
thing.
that's it.
Yeah, just one thing, because you said infidel. Infidel is a European concept. Well, we've got the
No,
concept that we
fine.
have. Yeah, Rabbi, just one thing, just one
I
thing.
don't know much
It's
about
similar.
Islam in
Yeah,
terms of whether an
Muhammad,
infidel is or
the
not.
concept we've got.
hold on a second. Muhammad, I do understand that the rabbi here fit your narrative, okay? I
No,
do
no, 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 no,
understand
no.
that.
Let me just say one thing. The notion we have, we don't have the infidel. We have a notion which exists in Judaism. You know, Rabbi, that in Judaism you have the notion of the kofir.
Right.
Kofir exists. The kofir as a category exists in Judaism.
Right.
Kofir.
Well, kofir in Judaism,
We have the
that would
kafir,
be the
exists
same
in-
translation as infidel in there, you know, but your notion of infidel is the same. Well, kofir in Hebrew means to deny.
Exactly. Well, this is what actually kafir in here in Arabic. If we are to talk about the etymology of it, kafir means the first sense, the first etymology of it is it means to cover, really to cover. So this is why actually the word kafir could also mean the farmer because they cultivate the land. But it comes also to mean someone who denies a truth, which we consider as a truth. So it's the same thing. It doesn't have any sense of infidel to it or anything like that. So you say to, and also we also have the other sense of the root kafara, which exists in Hebrew in the name of Kippur. So we say the kafara, which means that the redemption, it's the atonement. So we use it for atonement.
It's a non sequitur. I'm not trying to like make any definitive statements of.
So it's the same thing, the same
concepts
concept.
in Islam. I was talking about the structure of the law. That's it. I don't know enough about Islam to make.
So, but you don't have infidel, and everybody talks about
Muhammad, but again, we are having a third, excuse me, a third. Oh my God. A theological discussion, and I don't want this kind of discussion because again, I don't have enough knowledge, okay, and I don't have enough education.
וזה לא רלוונטי בכלל, זה סתם זיוני מוח.
Exactly.
Okay,
I want to understand. I want to go back to my original question.
שימי שאל שאלה מאוד ספציפית, ואתה פשוט לא עונה לו, אתה מתחמק.
אוקיי, אתם מנסים,
switch to English,
אתם אומרים, יש קשר,
Muhammad, please switch to English.
Listen, Muhammad,
you are saying that
I'm saying to you, Muhammad, why don't you go and live in a Muslim country? ليش تسكت في فرنسا?
Yeah, well, this is Elias, we had these arguments before.
You're not a Palestinian. You have nothing to do with this conversation.
And when I proved to you it's hypocritical coming from you, went like you have nothing to do.
You're not from the Middle East, Muhammad.
You can't point out as my private life. So I don't know. You're resorting to the same thing.
يا محمد انت مو يهودي انت مو فلسطيني انت مو من الشرق الاوسط انت كانت في الشرق الاوسط. Have you ever been to the Middle East? Have you ever been there?
Eli,
do you know what the hell you're talking about?
If you come down and you come as a friend, I can have a conversation with you. You come here attacking me, talking me. It's not
Muhammad, can you repeat my question please that I asked you originally?
Yeah, Shimi say that actually he surmises that the Muslim countries are backward economically and politically because of Islam. And I said no, it's not because of Islam. It's not because of Christianity that Zimbabwe is backward. It's not because of Christianity that Philippines or Paraguay or Uruguay are not doing that well. It's because of other reasons which are much more down to earth, and we can discuss these reasons, and we can take any country as an example, and have an open discussion about how he became the way it is. So then Shani and David, who is not here anymore, came to the stage and they've said, no, it is the case. And then I said to Shani, I asked her a direct question. I told her, you're making the argument that Sharia is conducive to poverty and backwardness. So are you also thinking that the Sharia is below the halakha, the Jewish law is above and better than the Sharia? She said yes. And then she brought up examples to argue for her point of view.
No, I didn't.
She said
say
that,
yes.
please,
wait, you're twisting everything.
Okay, so correct it for me.
No, listen.
I'll be a gentleman. Correct it for me.
Listen, you cannot compare. That's what I said. You cannot even compare the two. That's what I said. If I had a choice to live either in Alaha or in Sharia law, of course I would choose Alaha. And you can ask this any person who you give
But
the
how can you?
information about
That's
Alaha
a
and
hypothetical.
Sharia law too.
Yeah. So then, exactly. So this is what I've said. I've said exactly that. You've said, please. You've said. So I'll let you explain your point, so that you wouldn't say that I'm distorting your point of view. You've said that the halakha is better than the sharia, and then you
But
brought up
It's not that
exactly.
Shani,
it's
Oh my God!
better.
hold
It's
on,
that you can't
Shani,
even
you
I
let
cannot.
me,
I
compare.
cannot speak.
Shani,
I cannot speak.
hold on a second, guys. Shani, you letting Muhammad confusing you. Muhammad, we are not
I'm not
speaking about,
confusing you. Please, Shimi,
you confusing
No, no,
her.
no, no,
Okay,
Shimi. One thing. Please, don't play. I don't like that, because
okay.
Israelis, they happen to think that they live in a James Bond movie. It's not a James
Can you
Bond movie.
stop? Can you
Look,
stop
it's
saying
not a James
Israeli
Bond
this,
movie.
Israeli
I'm not
that?
convincing
Muhammad,
you. I'm not
no. Can you
confusing you.
Muhammad,
stop?
I'm trying.
Muhammad.
I'm
Can you
having
stop?
a
Can you
down to earth
no?
conversation
Can
with
you
you
stop
guys.
saying Israeli this,
We're not in
Israeli
a
that?
James Bond movie.
Really?
And
Ya Muhammad, you've never been to Israel. You've never been to the Middle East. You don't know shit about anything.
That's not the argument.
Okay?
We're not talking about that at all.
You don't know anything
What,
about
Muhammad,
Israel.
you know
You're
what?
always saying
Let me,
Israeli
It's
this,
Muhammad,
funny.
Israeli that.
You're
Can you
trying.
stop?
No, you're trying.
Muhammad, hold
You're
on a
being.
second.
You're not
Hold on
being
a second,
serious. You're
Muhammad.
not being serious.
Muhammad, I have a simpler question for you.
You're not being
Can you
serious.
point out one Arab country that is a democratic country or a Muslim country? It's a predominant Muslim country that is Democrat. Can you give us one example?
We had a
And
discussion about that last time. We're jumping from a country to topic to topic. I will answer that question.
because
I will
you
answer
are,
that
No,
question
this is
if
the
and only if you let
original.
me finish
This
what I
is
was
the
saying. Because you will
original
interrupt me in the middle of the
argument.
sentence.
Excuse
I
me,
couldn't make
you're
a
jumping
sentence.
from one
Shani,
topic to another.
and
No,
you're
you're
not
doing
letting me
that.
speak.
This
I
is
would
the
show. Look,
original
Shani.
question of Shimi.
As a gentleman, you told me I distorted your point of view. I told you, please, enlightenment. Now let me finish. So you've said, hypothetically, if there were a state ruled by halakha, which is not the case, because you're saying that you're having a hard time. I think you're not saying this. I think you're having a hard time owning your halakha. So you say Israel is secular. We have a Western country. You cannot make that statement. So and then you yourself say, hypothetically, if such a state existed under halakha, you would still prefer to live under halakha than to live
let's say,
in a
Muhammad,
Sharia
you're
state,
right. I agree with,
which is
for the
funny
sake,
because
Muhammad, for the sake of argument, let's say that you're right. So let's go back to the original question.
yes.
So can you point out one country that
Mm,
is Arab/Muslim
mm.
that is democratic?
Right. And the question you should be asking me, and I will help
Mhm.
you with that, is
Okay.
give me one Arab country that is ruled according to the Islamic rule in which the governance is Islamic. And we can discuss the details
Listen,
of it.
we don't listen, Muhammad. We don't care. We wish the Arabs all the best in their countries. We love the Arab people. We got no problems. תשמע, שימי, הבן אדם הזה, זה גורם נזק, הבן אדם הזה, וגם הרב
Lily,
הזה.
you're I mean, אם
No,
אתה לא
excuse me.
מכבד,
Can you let
אני
him
מכבד
speak?
אתכם
Can you let him
אני לא
ברוך
speak?
מכבד
הבא.
אותך, נכון?
Can you
אני לא
let
אתם
מכבד
him
לא
אותך.
מכבדים
speak?
אותי, לא
אני לא
מכבדים
Muhammad,
את
מכבד אותך.
המוסלמים, לא מכבדים את הערבים, זה הבעיה
Muhammad,
שלכם.
can
אני
you
לא
אנחנו
let him
נמאסים,
אני לא
speak?
מכבד אותך.
אנחנו
אני לא
נמאסים
מכבד
You're
אתכם,
אותך.
not letting him
אבל
speak
אתם לא
even.
מבינים, you have to be polite to others. You're not
I,
polite to
I
us.
don't, let me answer you.
You have
Let me
to
answer
be
He
you.
polite
wants
to
to
others.
speak. Can you please mute? Can you please mute? He wants to speak. Thank you.
Let me answer you. Let me answer you,
هو
Muhammad.
مكللني.
Let me answer. I'm not swearing.
הוא לא
I'm not
מקלל,
swearing.
הוא לא
Get to the
Let me
point.
מקלל,
answer
הוא
אומר
לא
you.
גורם
מקלל,
נזק,
הוא לא מקלל, מה הקשר?
יודע,
לא,
Let me
גוי
תן לו
answer
לדבר,
you.
גוי של
תן לו
Muhammad,
שבת,
לדבר,
אני לא יודע מה
אז
שהוא אומר,
תן
אבל
לו
הוא
לדבר
let
כבר
me
אבל.
answer you.
לא תורם
תן לי לענות
אתה
לך.
יכול לתת לו
Let me
לדבר?
answer you.
יואי.
Let me answer you. Muhammad, in answer to your thing, I do not respect you. You're not from the Middle East. You don't know anything.
I
You
don't
can
need
hardly speak
respect.
Arabic.
I don't need
You can
respect. But just please, I don't know why you're bothering yourself
listen. Let
to
me
have a
speak. Are you going to
conversation with me if
let
you
me
don't want
speak?
to have a
Let me
conversation
speak.
in the first place. I don't know.
Tell
Do
me
you
לדבר.
do you
Let
want
me
to
speak. Let me
persecute
speak.
yourself? Or...
לחסה, סתני שווי. Yeah, Muhammad. Let me speak for a second. You make me ashamed of Morocco. You make me ashamed. I don't have words to say. You're talking about a conflict you know nothing about. You're not from the region. You're just talking a salad of nonsense about religion and nothing to do
Because
with anything.
I believe that Muhammad feels that as a Muslim, it is its duty, you know,
No, don't do this psychology thing. I
It's
feel
nothing
the
to
same
do with
thing
a
about you.
Muslim. Listen, we have Muslims in Israel. We have
Yes.
it's nothing to do with religion. Muhammad, you don't understand. You do not have the brain to understand the
What
conflict.
don't you're smarter because okay, אתה יותר חכם ממני. You're smarter than
נכון,
myself.
صحيح.
Let me know what I don't get right about you. So let me know what did I say that contradicts the reality you have before your eyes.
Everything you say is a
Point out
salad
one
of
thing,
nonsense.
please. One
It
thing.
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You're telling
You're not
us who
bringing in
Jews
the
are.
argument, man. I mean, like,
Listen to me. Listen, Muhammad. You're telling us who Jews are. You're talking about halakha. You're talking about random shit
give me one
that has no
argument.
connection to anything.
You're not making an argument. You're not making any
You
argument.
know why you're talking like this? Because you've never been to the Middle East.
You're not making
You've
an
never
argument,
been.
Elias. Elias, you're not making an argument here.
It's not an argument. It's a statement of
You
fact.
see, that's the tactic you're doing. It's called attack ad hominem, which means you attack me
Jesus.
personally
I'm not
to
attacking you
discard me from the
personally.
conversation because you
Tishma
cannot
Kabul.
make you blocked me. You've said it yourself, so that I wouldn't shame you in stages. You've said it yourself.
I blocked
You stated that you
because
want to go to a
I
public
blocked you.
to speak to them your nonsense. You
Let me
don't
tell
want
you
me to
something,
contradict you,
Muhammad.
and you blocked me for that reason.
Let me explain to you, Muhammad. I will spend all day and all night speaking to real people from the Middle East from this app. It's important to me. A Moroccan anti-Semite that lives in France who knows nothing.
That's your
I'm
way
not
of framing
interested in
things
your
because
opinion.
it makes you feel better about yourself.
I'm not interested. I genuinely
And I'm
don't
not interested.
care.
So why are you coming to this to talk to me and to talk about me?
I come here because I respect Shimi. There's no way on God's earth I would come
to tell
otherwise.
them that I'm an Igor Nemzek. That's your
La Ugor Nemzek. He's causing danger.
I mean, like,
because you
I
are
don't know.
a
I have nothing to say to that.
Muhammad, just to be honest and to let you know, I'm taking a lot of heat for my fellow Jews because you know, I'm opening this kind of room and having discussion with you and people that believe in you know, having your same belief. So yeah, I'm taking a lot of
I'm
heat.
being very polite. I don't owe my liberty of speaking to anyone because I'm always polite. I'm always convey my point of view in a courteous way, and I don't. If I would be talking nothing. I have my private life. I have my friends. I think what I'm doing here, that I'm benefiting and learning from you, and you're learning from me, and we're learning from each other.
I agree with you. I do have a broader perspective. Speaking with people that have your own beliefs, and I do want to hear people like Eli, like Shani, like Sakerio, like all those guys having debates with you, because I do feel that it's helped me to understand the broader picture. But to be honest,
that's such a problem. I mean, like Ushani, I think.
Hold on a second, Mohammed. But I do believe, if I'm honest with myself, I do believe that you do have a problem with Jews. You have some anti-Semitic
which problem do I have?
Again,
I don't have any problem. I really don't have any
actually,
problem.
you do have an anti-Semitic rhetoric. So
at least no, not the slightest. And I'm honest with myself, not with you. Not the slightest. Honestly, I appreciate the people for who they are, an individual. And I think, and I've told you, and I've told it repeatedly, what I've told you, every nation on earth has contributed to humanity, and the Jewish contributing to humanity is no less than the Arab, or the Jewish, or the Chinese, or
Muhammad. Okay, so I ask you, let's take Morocco for example. Let's take Morocco for example. What Morocco, let's say, for the last 40 years, what kind of achievement, what kind of academic achievement they had? What kind of achievement?
I can tell you this thing. I can tell you this one thing. Okay, we achieved it, honestly, right? Yeah. Of course, we didn't invent the nuclear bomb. Okay, we don't own nuclear weapons. We're so stupid for that. But I think that
don't be cynical. Don't be cynical.
Because I'm not making cynical. When I'm telling you, if you, the Jewish people, You pride yourself of having contributed. I mean, we've agreed. I think it's a no-brainer. Every material science is a goy science. Started as a goy science. The only contribution of the Jewish people until recently to the world
Again, you
was the
avoiding
Bible.
answering my question. Why you are not answering my
People
question,
pride
Muhammad?
themselves.
What
People pride themselves.
What Morocco contributed to
I
the
am
to the
telling
world?
you that question
What
is not a smart
academic
question to
achievement for
ask.
the 40
I'm telling
years?
you that question is not a smart question to ask
It's a
because what
very
you're
smart
that's reality
question.
because someone could and I give you the parallel. You don't listen to me. I told you if a Roman person or a Greek in the 2nd century AD saw the Jews, he would
You
have
cannot
to
give a
say,
straight answer,
"My God."
Muhammad. Why is that you cannot
He would
give a
have
straight
made the same
answer?
argument as you. He would have said, "What's the contribution of the Jews to our civilization in the 2nd century? We could do
Jews
without
have
them,"
made up
which is
over
not true, and that
210
he
of the
would be wrong.
Nobel Prize laureates, okay? And there's only 15 million Jews on Earth. How many has the rest of
We
the
had a
world
discussion about
contributed?
this. I'm not going to
How
repeat
much
myself.
has the Muslim community with
Yeah,
2
the
billion
most stupid argument
people?
ever.
Hold on, 2 billion
Why
people.
is it a
How many
stupid
have they
argument,
earned?
Muhammad?
Seven.
That's the
I will,
most
tell you,
stupid
Muhammad, why
argument.
you are saying it's a stupid argument because it's
That
making you feel
no,
uncomfortable.
no, at all. I don't feel uncomfortable at all. If I felt uncomfortable, I wouldn't be here in the first place. What I'm saying to you, I think I explained to you clear
No,
what
you are not.
that you
You are
owe that
avoiding
Israel
you are
owes
avoiding my
everything to the
question,
West,
Muhammad. You are not
and
giving
we
us a
went through the stage.
answer.
Anyways, I do understand you play the fool here because you don't want to admit it to yourself.
I'm
But
playing the
everything
fool.
that you
I'm
pride
playing the
yourself,
fool.
everything that
Wait,
Israel prides
can I
itself
please speak?
is
I haven't
Western
spoken
and is
in a
not
while.
Jewish. You name it.
Please.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
want to say,
Please.
okay, yes.
Please go.
I just want to say that when a question is presented to you, Muhammad, you don't answer it. Like,
Of course
you
not.
didn't.
You don't have to ask.
Till
Did I
now,
ask? Because I make
you didn't.
questions go also unnoticed. When I ask a
Okay, that's
question,
fine. Then
you
that's
wouldn't answer it
completely
either.
fine.
I would ask you. I would
Wait,
ask you about the comparisons
Muhammad,
between the halakha and
wait.
the
I
sharia,
haven't.
and then you are saying,
Wait, can
"Oh,
you
Israel is
please let me
secular," which is not
speak?
an answer in itself.
Can you let me finish? Thank you. You do whataboutism all the time, and when you are presented with the original question, still now you didn't answer. So what are you doing here? What are you doing here if you don't want to answer?
No, Shani. No. First of all, we have to understand something, Shani. Maybe you shirut the tzava. Here, we are not in an Israeli prison with a Palestinian getting beaten by the Israeli soldiers to say something. It's not an integration.
What?
We are
What are you
respecting each
talking
other
about?
here. So no,
What
it's
are
not
you
about.
talking
It's not
about?
about. No. It's not that style
You're
of like.
delusional.
No, it's not like.
No, excuse
It's
me.
not
You
like.
are delusional.
You
You're
are. You are coming with that
delusional.
perspective.
You're
An Arab has
delusional.
to
You need to wake up to
has to be
reality.
literal.
Wake up to reality. The
No,
Muslim
I'm
countries,
waking
they
up.
are
I'm
being
telling you to wake up
oppressed.
to reality.
The
You're
people,
not
the
the ones
Muslim
to.
people are being
You're not
oppressed
the
in
ones to
Gaza.
frame the
The
narrative,
Muslim people are
and the
being
people
oppressed
would
in the
follow you.
PA. The
No.
Muslim people are being oppressed in Jordan. The Palestinians, they can't even in the Lebanon.
But
They're being
it's not. That's what
oppressed.
aboutism. You're doing what aboutism. But anyways, you're
No,
actually
this is
you're
the
practicing what aboutism.
original. This is the original argument. You
No,
can't even
we're practicing what
respond.
aboutism.
No, you're
I've said
delusional.
repeatedly, if we want to talk about any country and why it is the way it is, we can discuss that from a historical, political, economical perspective. We can do it about Morocco. We can do it about Israel. We can do it about Bolivia. We can do it about every country. The thing that I think is wrong is the argument you're making. You want me to say, you want me to please you with a yes to the thing that you're saying that it is because of Islam that Morocco is backward. It is because of Islam that Pakistan is backward. It is because of Islam that Malaysia or the Emirates or Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or Brunei or Indonesia or whatever is backward. And I disagree with that. Easy and simple. Easy and simple.
I have a question, Mohammed. Do you know how many wars we have on this planet Earth right now?
On what? Where?
How many wars we have right now?
Right now, currently, if you're having holy wars? What is
No, how many wars we have right now?
I don't know, many. There are many conflicts.
28. 28. 28. So how many Muslim countries we have?
Just go to the bottom of it. I mean, I'm not playing game here. Give me a
57. We have 57 Muslim countries.
Right.
And to break it down, 19 wars. Actually, we have 28. 19 wars in Muslim countries. So tell me.
Which are they?
Let me finish my point, please. And please stop to interrupt people. So can you explain me why 19 wars are already running in Muslim countries?
Yeah, I would love to. But are you honest enough to go with me on the list of the 19s one by one?
No, not one by one. I want a short version story answer, please. Give me an answer of my question.
I'm ready.
Excuse me, we don't have the time of the world right now.
Let us go with it one by one.
No, answer directly.
I'm not answering. I'm not your prisoner, Shani. אנחנו לא בארץ. אני חופשי פה. Okay? So,
well, actually, Muhammad,
look, I would like to go with you.
Hold on, Muhammad. What do you imply? Muhammad, what do you imply? Muhammad, what do you? Muhammad, what do you imply by being? Muhammad, what do you imply by being prisoner in Israel?
Because the idea that giving orders to someone, talk, answer, that kind of way of conducting yourself is not courteous. I'm here. I'm ready to go into the 19th conflict one by one, which is even more than what
But we don't have time one by one.
If you don't have time, then please,
just answer to the general question.
Remain ignorant. If you don't have time for knowledge, you'd better remain ignorant then. That's my answer.
I can give you the answer.
You asked me the question. If you have the answer,
this is what we are facing.
If you have an answer and you want to please yourself, gratify yourself with your own answer, it's as if you post in a Facebook post and liking your own post, then go for it. But it will be without me.
So do you have a short answer to me?
I have no short answer. It's more complex. If you want us to discuss this,
okay, I give you my opinion. It's sadly to say, but it is in your DNA to destroy, and this is engaged and connected with your holy book. So therefore, your biggest invention, also to give you an answer in the last decades, is the explosive belt.
That's the most stupid thing I've ever heard.
No, this is the truth.
It sounds
honestly
stupid.
That's the most stupid thing I've ever heard. Because I mean, like, if you are to, I mean, whatever you frame it is stupid. Because if you frame it about people, being suicidal in their fight for any cause, then I could give you the revolt of the zealots in Judea and Judean in Jewish Palestine in the 1st century AD against the Romans. People were suicidal and they would go.
Yeah, like 2,000 years ago.
What is Jewish Palestine? It's called Judea. Judea. The kingdom of Judea, kingdom of Israel. No, Palestine. Listen. You are twisting history. There is no such thing as the Jewish Palestine. No such thing as the Jewish Palestine.
It was called Palestine for real.
Excuse me.
Called it Palestine.
The Romans changed the name from Judea. Listen, can I speak?
You interrupted me, by the way, but go.
No, because you speak over everyone.
You spoke over me, so please, you spoke over me.
Look at the comments. Everyone's saying you speak over people. You speak over women. Can you stop? Thank you.
No, don't make it sound as if I were disrespectful towards you.
Look at the comments.
I don't care about the comments. I know myself very well, so go and speak.
Okay.
Wow,
so
isn't that
give Shani a chance to speak. Okay,
isn't that egotistical? Wow. Anyways, there's no such thing as a Jewish Palestine. Excuse me. The Jews lived in Judea, okay, in the kingdom of Judea, in the province of the Romans, okay, and you can't call it Jewish Palestine. You just can't. Okay, just the fact that the Romans. Please don't interrupt me, please. Thank you. Okay, just the fact that the Romans named it Syria Palestina after the Romans exiled the Jews, right? And afterwards it became Syria Syria, Palestine, the region name, okay? Not the,
Mhm.
it wasn't a country. It wasn't, it was the region name
Right,
changed
right.
by the Romans. The
Yeah, yeah.
Jews lived in Judea. Okay,
Hmm.
so don't come here twisting
I
history
mean,
and
well, you would
calling it
agree.
Jewish
You would agree there.
Palestine.
Yeah. Then you would
It
agree
wasn't
that.
Jewish
Mhm.
Palestine.
Then you would agree that it was named Palestine 20 centuries in a row,
Okay, what's your point? It's
minimum,
the region name.
which
It's
makes
the
it a very
region's
legitimate.
name.
It's an
This is
exonym. It's a
Eretz
very legitimate.
Israel. Always
It's
was
very
Eretz
legitimate name
Israel.
for the land.
Listen. This is
Mhm.
Eretz Israel. The indigenous Jews always called it Eretz Israel. Just because some
They are entitled.
colonizers,
You can do that.
just
You
because,
have the right.
just because some Roman colonizers named it
Look,
Syria, Palestina,
you
that doesn't mean
you have the right.
anything.
You have the right
That
to
doesn't
name
mean
it. No,
anything.
it
It's
means you have.
Judea,
No, you
and
have the
that's where
right.
my people come
No, no.
from
Look,
Judea.
that's your mythos. You have the right to believe whatever you want to believe. I don't go in to dispute your beliefs. Am I here to? Who am
Really,
I?
a myth?
Who am I?
Are you calling it a myth? This is genetically proven,
No. Who
archaeologically
am I? Who am I
proven,
to? Who am I?
historically proven,
You don't
right?
understand
And you
one
are
thing. You don't
denying
understand the thing. You're not
Jewish
being up.
history.
No, you're not
You
being
are
up.
denying Jewish history. But please
No.
let me finish. You are denying Jewish
Mhm.
history,
Mm.
okay? And that is anti-Semitic. That's
No,
what
that's
you're
not the
doing.
point. Look,
You are
please don't play that
twisting
card with me.
history,
I'm being very
twisting the
respectful.
truth,
Look, please. No, no,
always
no, no, no,
twisting
no.
the truth,
Whenever,
calling it
whenever you're
Jewish
stuck,
Palestine. There's no such thing as Jewish Palestine.
don't
This is
look.
nonsense. You're
If I am,
delusional.
if I'm to respect you, please, and I don't play the anti-Semitic card with me. I hate that. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I
Listen. A
find it
couple
very
of
because
Jews
actually
told you
because
you are being
actually it's a
anti-Semitic.
way. It is
You
a
are
way.
erasing our
No, it
experience,
is a way.
Habibi.
It is a way.
Habibi, you are
No,
erasing our
I know.
experience.
So
I'm
Habibti,
sorry.
you will listen to me and I will speak to you my
You know
point of
what?
view. There are
Hold on a
two.
second,
It's
guys.
very normal to have two names for one country.
Okay, Muhammad,
Very normal.
I
You
have
call it
You
Israel.
are
You call it
delusional. Palestine was
no.
never a
Finish
Muhammad,
the
country in
argument for
history.
God's sake.
You are
I couldn't finish the
delusional.
sentence. I
No,
couldn't
Muhammad,
finish the sentence.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
telling you,
חמוד.
if we take,
guys,
if we,
מצטערת
hold on
oh
a
my
חמוד.
God,
אין
second, hold on
דבר
a second.
כזה פלסטין
Shimi,
בחיים
okay,
שלי. אין
Can I
דבר
ask
Shani,
you,
Shani,
כזה.
Shani. I will explain
guys,
that to you.
can I
One,
ask a question? Guys, can
Never
I
in
ask
no,
Muhammad?
history.
can I finish a
Never.
Okay,
sentence? Can I finish a sentence?
Muhammad, I want to ask you a question. Do you
I
feel
want to
that
finish
you
my
are
sentence before answering your
okay?
question.
Go ahead, please, go ahead.
Okay, I will explain something to Shani. You see, for instance, if we're to talk about China, okay, we call it China. You know, you can call it China. Everybody calls it China. Israelis also call it Sin, okay, but no one, the Chinese don't call it China. If you are going to talk to the Chinese, they call it Zhonghuo, or they can call it Huaguo.
What's your point? Excuse me.
Okay,
What's your point? Excuse me.
and
This is the native
now let
language.
me
This is
finish.
the
You
native
interrupted me
tongue.
again because you
This
are
is the
very
indigenous
impatient.
tongue
You're
of
very
them. This is
impatient. You're very impatient.
no, you're
You're
twisting
very
everything.
impatient. Look, and if you are to talk about India, in Hindi you call it Bharat. We call it India. Everybody calls it India. Countries could have multiple names. I'm not disputing. It's not me. I
Excuse
didn't come
me.
to you. Please let me finish. I didn't come to you and told you Judea as a name does not exist. I used a very legitimate name of Palestine. You disputed it. So you are the one that wanted to make it problematic. I didn't come to dispute the validity of Judea for the region called Judea. But you
Okay,
came
can I
here.
please answer? Okay. Okay,
No,
I understand what you mean. Please,
so what's
can
the
I
problem
answer?
then? What's the problem?
No, I understand what you mean. But you are twisting history and you are saying that Palestine was a
Not the
country.
slightest.
Never in
I, I,
history.
I didn't say
Never.
country yet. I
Please,
didn't make
please,
the
can
argument
I?
for a
No,
country
you
yet.
said countries. You said
Wallahi, I
there can
didn't
be
use
several
country. I
names.
swear by God.
You said,
I swear by God. I
don't do
didn't come
takia
to
on me. It
that yet.
doesn't work on me. It
I
doesn't
said
work on
Jewish
me.
Palestine. I said Jewish
Don't
Palestine.
do
I
takia on
said
me. It
Jewish
doesn't work on
Palestine.
me. It doesn't work on me, Otakia.
Look,
Listen,
look,
it
look, look,
doesn't
look, look.
work on
No, no,
me.
no. You're
Listen,
not worthy of.
no, no,
No, no,
no,
no.
no, 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 no,
You're
no, no, no,
the
no,
audience
no,
is
no, no,
here.
no, 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 no.
I don't try.
No,
You don't.
listen to me. You are
You have
delusional.
Alzheimer. You've got
Never in
Alzheimer.
history there was a
Maybe you
Palestine.
have Alzheimer. Maybe you have Alzheimer,
Never there
Shani.
was a country. Please,
Wallahi, I
Guys,
didn't make
can
that
people
I
in the
argument.
chat,
I
guys
was
can I
talking
people in
about
the
push a
Waqf
chat,
question?
revolts, and it
people
was
in
Guys,
the
not nothing
guys,
chat,
to
guys,
Palestine by the time of
guys,
Waqf
hold on a
authority.
second, guys. I
the
want to ask.
people
I have
in
a
the
question.
chat. Wait, Shimi, the
Shanika,
people in the chat. Did he say there can be several names to countries? Did he
Yes,
say that?
yes, I said that.
Okay, so you're
To
saying that
regions, to
Palestine
whatever,
was a
yeah.
country? Excuse me, never in
No,
history was
no,
Palestine a
actually now
country. Excuse
you
me, you're delusional. Thank you.
no, you're making the most stupid arguments ever. You made it about a country. Yeah, I made it about the region or a country, wherever. A country is a region. A country is a region. A country is a region. So what I've told you is
I
that
have a
you can
different
have the
guy,
same place being called different things.
Muhammad, I have a different question for you. It's just to to clear the air, I have a general question for you. Do you take the Palestinian side?
What do you mean by the Palestinian side? What do you mean by that?
Do you agree with the narrative of the Palestinians? Do you believe in the Palestinians narrative?
About them being persecuted in
Yeah,
Palestine
yeah.
and chased from their
Whatever.
homes?
Yeah,
Yes, in
yeah.
that regard, yes.
So how let's take Shani for example. Shani is a Jewish person. So how you can blame her for believing in whatever she's believed, and you accuse her being not honest, and you are being biased because you do believe in the
I didn't
Palestinian
accuse her of
narrative.
anything.
Does it
That's the
make
problem.
sense to you?
I'm the one being accused here on stage.
Jimmy is
I
telling
didn't
the
accuse
truth.
anybody of holding their opinions. You can very much be a very Zionist person. I would respect you and will have this an honest discussion with you. But it was Shani who told me I practice in taqiyya, which means that I am that
Don't
I
cry,
am
don't
lying to
cry.
her or something like that. I might be dishonest and
Cry
coming in bad
Islam is
faith.
Jimmy is
gonna be
telling the
funny.
So
truth.
Don't
it's about
cry.
you, not about me.
You
Okay,
lied. You lied.
guys,
You
there is
lied
a
in
lot of.
here.
Okay, let's hold on a second. I think there is a
Shani,
lot
I
of.
thought of you being very kind at the beginning. Now you're becoming
Jimmy
nasty a
is
little bit.
telling the truth. Shimmy is telling the truth. The Bible says, I know thy works, I know thy tribulation and
Oh my God.
poverty,
Thank
thy
you. Thanks
art
for being
rich,
present.
and I know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. The so-called Jew who says he is Jewish,
Kick
that
him
means
off. Kick him off. He's a black Hebrew Israelite. Kick him off,
that
please.
means that means
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
love. Yes, of course, the Bible tells you about the
We
the
have
true.
completely lost.
The so-called Jew was born not even 400 years ago, along with the letter J.
Get him out of there!
Exactly. Running from the truth.
Yeah, yeah. All those
תשמע,
crazy.
שימי,
I
זה
think
קצת
I
בעייתי.
think Shani must be
רגע,
happy because she has a Hebrew
שנייה, אני מדבר
Israelite
עם
back
שימי,
in Iraq.
מוחמד,
Muhammad, let Eli
מוחמד, שנייה,
give Eli a
שימי,
chance to speak.
אתה עושה קצת קרקס פה עם יש כל מיני חייזרים כאלה, אני יודע, זה בעייתי לגמרי. אז באמת, אני לא יודע. לא יודע מה אתה מנסה להשיג בדבר הזה, שימי. זה מעניין אותך? כאילו...
אני אגיד לך, I will tell you what I'm trying to do is something that you cannot find, for example, in a Muslim countries. Pluralism.
Well, that's why
Muhammad. That's why you think to yourself. You want. We talked about it last time.
That's why you don't live in a Muslim country, Muhammad.
You like
Muhammad,
to have.
Ya Muhammad, laisse-te second fi Paris, ya Muhammad. Pourquoi est-ce que tu habites à Paris, ya Muhammad? Pourquoi?
For the same reason that you lived in England to have a British passport and go back to Israel.
I don't need a British
life
passport.
with a British passport and.
You don't know what passport I've got.
You've got many. I do know about that. You've got amongst themselves the British passport. I don't know why you feel the need of leaving Israel to Britain, but you have to feel why.
Okay.
I don't know
Anyways,
why
please
you have
don't
the
judge
need.
me so that I wouldn't
I
judge
don't know
you.
why you have the need to be on here.
But you're an American citizen. Why are you talking about? I mean,
yes, Muhammad.
Why are you even talking, Muhammad? You're a waste of air.
Muhammad. Maratani Muhammad, ya Muhammad. You're not from the Middle East. Yes, the last room you said you're not even an Arab. What possible?
I am a Berber Moroccan. Yes. I'm a Berber.
You're a piece of shit, Mohammed.
Thank you, Rinyao. I like that. That's the level Muhammad, of the Zionists. I know.
Muhammad. Every day on this app, I'm very interested in speaking to Arabs from the Arab world who live in the Arab world. Your opinion is irrelevant.
That's your opinion. You're entitled to it.
Listen,
but I have my opinion.
Why don't you come to the area?
My opinion is worth no less than yours.
Okay.
You believe that yours is superior.
Hold on, guys, hold on, guys, Haley, hold on a second. Maybe it will be a lot better, not start, cursing each other. Maybe we can challenge Muhammad אנחנו יכולים אולי להתמודד עם מוחמד מבין עברית, אנחנו יכולים להתמודד איתו אינטלקטואלית ולא לקלל ולא לרדת לרמה הזאת.
אף אחד לא מקלל אותו, מי מקלל אותו?
לא, בסדר, אני מדבר באופן כללי, אני לא אמרתי מישהו.
אתה אומר שאני טיפש, שאני טיפשי, אתה אומר שאין לי דעה.
סליחה, רגע, אני חייבת להגיד משהו, הוא היה אנטישמי, הוא היה פה אנטישמי, בכל
שאני
הסדר,
אומר,
אז
אני
איך
אנטישמי.
אני
אתה
גם
מאפשר
חושב,
לזה
אני
לקרות,
באופן אישי, הנה
ואתה...
מוחמד פה, ואני אומר למוחמד את זה בפנים ולא מאחורי הגב. אני באופן אישי חושב שמוחמד הוא אנטישמי.
אבל
אבל
אין
אני
לך,
מעדיף,
אוקיי, אין לך,
מוחמד,
אתה
hold on a
אנטישמי.
second, please. אני חושב שמוחמד הוא אנטישמי, אבל אני מעדיף להתמודד איתו
למה?
אינטלקטואלית
אני לא
במקום
אנטישמי
לקלל
בכלל, אני
אותו.
לא אנטישמי בכלל.
זה הדעת שלי, זכותי לדעתי.
אני אוהב את היהודים כמו שאני אוהב את
אתה
הסינים,
לא
כמו
אוהב
שאני
את
אוהב את
היהודים,
הבלגים,
אתה לא אוהב את היהודים.
אני
You
אוהב
don't
את
love
הכל.
the Jews. You
delusional.
don't love the
You know
Jews.
what
Muhammad,
delusional is?
you only
בדיוק,
portray that you love the Jews, but
אתה יודע
actually
מה זה
you
חי
hate
בסרט?
us.
אין לי שנאה לאף אחד בלב שלי, אלחמדולillah, בעזרת השם, אין לי דבר כזה. אני אוהב כל בני אדם.
Muhammad, you
אני
can
לא אנטישמי.
say, you can portray whatever you want, but
מכיר את
to be
עצמי.
honest, you hate us. You hate the Jews. So you
No,
want to throw
that's
us.
not true.
You
That's
want
not
to
true.
throw
I really love
the Jews
everybody. I
out
love the Jews.
of
I
the
love
Israel, and you want to bring
I
back
love the
the
Buddhists.
Palestine.
I love everybody. Honestly.
Listen, Mohammed, I've got a question for you. Why on God's green earth are you interested in a conflict that has nothing to do with you? Honestly, I'm asking you.
No, I
why,
think it has to do
why,
with me. I've answered your question that last time. I've told you two things.
Why?
First of all, I have a wide spectrum of interests. We can talk
why
about.
Why didn't you come to Israel? Why don't you go? Why don't you,
we can talk about other things.
Why don't you go to Gaza? Go to Gaza. Why don't you come to Israel? Why don't you look around, speak to some people?
What do you mean by go to Gaza? What do you mean by that?
Why don't you go to Gaza and visit?
Why not? Why not? Why not? If I'm provided the opportunity to do it, I would do it. No problem.
Honestly, if you're so interested, you're obsessed.
I would be curious to see. I think Gaza also is one of the most ancient cities of the region. That's known. We have documentation that Gaza existed in interrupted fashion for at least 4 millennia, which is interesting. An interesting spot.
So why don't you come to the Middle East? Why don't you speak to people in real, face to face, instead of for a phone?
Why not, man? I mean, invite me. I mean, like if you are, why not? Really?
I mean, like, I won't have you in my house, that's for sure. But
okay, so then don't. I mean, if you're not going to pay for the trip, don't compel me to come over. I would do it when I have the opportunity to do it.
I want you to understand that every day we hear people who've never been to the region, who know nothing.
No, you know that's a different. In my case, it's different. You don't know that.
In your case, it's different because you genuinely
you hate me exactly for that. You don't like me because
think. Yeah. You think you know better. You think you know about.
No, I don't think I know better. You think you know better than I do.
I know about myself. I know about my life.
Yeah, I could make the same argument.
Okay, but listen. All I can say is, you have to understand. You're incapable of. You're not from the region. You don't understand it. You've never been.
Look, Shimi told you. Shimi, who also thinks, I don't know why he thinks I am an anti-Semite, which is מאכזב אותי. למה? כי...
למה זה מאכזב אותך? למה?
Because the way I thank God, I have no hatred for anybody in my heart. So that's for me. It's
but
clear.
You want to throw out. But you want Muhammad to throw.
I don't want to throw anybody.
Us out of Israel,
no,
right?
Why
Let's
not?
be honest. Do you want to throw Jews from Israel?
No. Wallahi, I don't want to throw anybody from anywhere.
But you say that we occupy Israel, don't you?
No, I say that the only difference between the argument between us and you, us as Muslims, I mean, and you, is the fact that you say the only way for you to exist in Israel is by you having leadership on the land of Palestine. We think differently. We think that you can stay there and then it will be out.
What is the land of Palestine? Excuse me, there's no such thing. Excuse me, there's no such thing. This is Israel.
It exists. Palestine exists.
This is Israel. Israel is the name, the land of Israel, Eretz Israel. And the Jews are the indigenous people, you know, and they came back to the land, you know, they returned to the land.
It's not relevant, in my point of view, to the argument I'm making.
Muhammad, who's we? Who's we? Who's we? You said we think. Are you talking about Islam? What are you talking about?
As a Muslim. As a Muslim.
Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. As a
What's
Muslim.
Your point? Yeah. What's your point? I can hear you, Shimi. I think you're disconnected or something.
I think maybe Amjad could sum it up better. I don't know what to say. I've run out of words.
No,
You're not from the region.
Look,
you don't understand. You
You are
said you're
from
not. You said you're
Tetouan.
not even an Arab.
Sometimes, I mean, like I heard you in other rooms. You are very nice. So why are you being nasty whenever you talk to someone who
I'm
is
very
not?
nice to people from the
Shalom,
region. I'm
hi
very
everyone.
nice to
Yeah,
Can
I
people.
mean,
can can you hear me very
Ilyas,
clear?
Yeah,
Can you
person
hear
like
me
go.
clear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Amjad. Tafaddal.
Shimi, may I speak without more
Yeah, sure,
interrupting?
go ahead, please.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Amjad. Go.
I haven't asked you to tell me. I asked Shimi. So more, please mute yourself.
You want to talk to me? You said you want to talk to me.
No, no,
So
no.
if you want to
I
talk to me, you
said
have to
no, no,
respect
no.
me,
I
or I will let you talk
have
to
not.
yourself and ignore me.
I have not requested to speak to you,
Okay.
and I asked you to mute yourself.
No, I'm not going to
And
mute myself, but I'm not going to interrupt you either. So go ahead.
that's up to you. It's up to the moderator to mute you or not. However, I'm not speaking to myself. If you know the rules of Clubhouse, is as long as right now you're speaking, everyone can hear you, so you're not speaking to yourself. So that's just English-wise, and that's just showing you the rules of a Clubhouse that you should understand. And maybe that's the same thing when you enter any place in the world. You should understand the rules before starting being rude to people. That's number one. Now let's move to number two. Now this is, since we're not speaking to Mo, we can reference to the conversation he had rather than him as an individual. So we're referencing to his conversation rather than him as an individual. Speaking of the Jewish state of Israel, I don't think anyone should be here, sitting here, and discussing the history of the Jewish state of Israel. 4,000 years of history exists there. The name of Israel has existed through the Bible, through the Torah, and so on, right? Throughout the history. None of the Jewish community or friends of ours should be here discussing with Mo the history of Judaism and the fact that Israel, as a name of the state, has existed throughout history. You shouldn't. Anyone who digs into history and has a simple knowledge of history can accept that as a fact, as a clear fact that it's a Jewish state of Israel, and any other name that came later on is a fabrication of history, or at one point it was a torture to the people, or the Jewish people and their land. The voice of the person who just spoke and the conversation Mo had does not represent the Arab world. Definitely not the Middle Eastern, or where I'm speaking right now from, Dubai, or the people in Bahrain, or the people in Morocco, or the people in Sudan. And the vision right now, I believe, is very different. Everyone, I myself was one of the first delegation after the Abrahamic Accord, the young delegation from UAE and Bahrain. We visited the state of Israel during the Hanukkah time, and we went to the Wailing Wall, and we went to Yad Vashem, and we visited Golan, and we visited all the east, west, and north of Israel, the Jewish state of Israel, and what we saw, that people can live in peace and prosperity and diversity. It's a very diverse country. It's the opposite of what you see in Bollywood, I think the best terminology to use here. A lot of propaganda that's people like Mo themselves bring forward in everywhere, by the way. It's not just in the virtual world, everywhere. And I think together we should stand against such scenarios. But it's the best thing to do right now, to be honest. Educate people about the reality of what's happening in Israel. They try to focus mainly on what currently the success that the Jewish state of Israel is making, how diverse it is, how the Jews, Muslim, how the Christians are living in peace and prosperity there, how about more than 1 million of the Muslim people from different background living in Israel, with more than 300 mosques there are built. Most of them are by the Israeli government and sponsored and supported by the Israeli government. In fact, the Israeli government buys them the Quran, the Holy Book of Islam, and also pays the imams their salaries and so on. So those are the kind of things that we should speak about and support in such a developed state, and work with it as much as we've seen here in Dubai. So many after the Abrahamic Accord, so many of our brothers and sisters from the Jewish community, from the Israeli state, have visited Dubai and developed so many of their put forward a lot of their business and opening a lot of their business, and also having their own community here and so on. This is the kind of things that we should look forward into. Going back into the
Amjad,
into the fact.
Amjad,
Yes, go ahead.
Amjad,
Yes,
I'm
brother.
sorry for interrupting you. I
Go
just
ahead.
want to
Please, Shimi,
to
ask him
ask.
the same question you asked me about the
Oh,
Muslims,
okay.
why they are
Hold on a
backward.
second, Muhammad, one second.
Okay.
I want to ask you. Some people, trying to come into the room, but I suspect that you blocked them for some reason. It's not my business. And I'm not interested to know why. I just want to ask you if I can put you I can drop you into the audience for a couple of seconds, to let them the chance to come in, and then I'm going to bring you up again to the stage.
Go ahead.
Is it okay, Muhammad?
To
Go
me,
ahead.
okay, yeah, sure, you can do that. And bring me so.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Amjad. Go
But
ahead.
don't forget to do that.
Of course. Amjad, go ahead. I'm
Yes.
sorry for interrupting you.
So the point here, guys, we are having a lot of institutions are building on when it comes to the to the to the youngsters right now. There is a lot of project that we are bringing forward, and when I say we, as the youth, as the elite, as the people who are thinking of a different vision for the Middle East, for example, people like Mo themselves, if we push more into the education system, into the curriculum. Right now, this is what we're working on, for people to be educated right in their primary school about the Holocaust and about the Jewish community history and the Jewish society history, and also how much the Jewish people brought into the community around the world and the society around the world and the world and different countries and so on. If we put that into the education system, then maybe more when he's a child, he gets educated much better on those books, and when he grows up, he has no hate of or a language of anti-Semitism against any members of his society, especially where he is, I believe, as he says, on Clubhouse in France, where he's part of his society is a Jewish society. Yes, we've seen recently in a few years some of the, unfortunately, our Jewish people have been targeted by some of the Islamic radicals in France, and those Islamic radicals have been affected by some of the radicalists who left the Middle East, or some of them who still exist in the Middle East, such as Iran or Afghanistan, or even in Gaza. And this is how we should not look into this from an emotional perspective. Believe it or not, anyone around the world, anyone in France, London, whichever country around the world, would not be able to stand 1 hour with having a Gaza militias right next to them. A Gaza militias, by the way, what we hear about right now is just Hamas. There is 62 militias, small mini militias, that they are all controlled by Hamas. We see in the streets of France, or in the street of London, or in the street of New York or DC. The police cannot comprehend or as they say, they will not have a dialogue with some of the thugs or the rioters, and immediately they react. But however, they want Israel to go on a silent mood when they see the rockets being launched on their children, on the children. And by the way, those rockets are not just targeting just the Jewish. It does not choose a Jewish or not. In fact, many of those rockets landed in Arab cities in Israel, and also killed a lot of Muslims in Israel, and children and women. So
Yes,
this is
and
why.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Amjad. I'm really sorry.
Sure.
I just wanted to add that it also, the rockets that, of course, that Hamas sends also land inside of Gaza, which hurts the Gazans.
Yes, it has landed. A lot of them landed in Gaza and killed even the Gaza people, and destroyed even hospitals and schools. I mean, we've seen very precisely, and this is if Israel had anything to hide, and this is the new understanding, by the way, in the Middle East right now. If Israel had anything to hide, it would not allow the journalists to enter Gaza. In fact, Israel as a government support all the journalists to go ahead and cover the live coverage of them, for example, hitting a certain place that Hamas is using. They're very precise. They allow their live cameras. They can even turn the electricity off, but they don't. They leave live cameras, electricity there, and they inform even the building 45 minutes before to empty it, or certain, even if it's a military used or so on. So, if anything, I think that the Middle East can do right now, thanks the IDF for finishing those and taking care of those terrorists. That's one, and destroying them. And if anything we
هو
can do,
الإرهابي الله ياخذك إن شاء الله ربنا ياخذك
we should
ربنا
thank
ياخذك ربنا
we should
ياخذك
thank
ربنا
the
ياخذك
Israeli we should thank the Israeli army for example, helping a lot of Syrian refugees. We saw that when we went to Golan. We've seen a lot of that, and they helping, even assisting, taking care of some of the children. I myself, with my own eyes, saw some of the children themselves because they were bombarded by the Iranian militias and some of the, by the way, some of the Palestinian militias who live in Syria. They have been targeted, those children, Syrian children. They had to cross from Golan. Now, on the borders of Golan, we went there and we saw it. It's really hard because there is kind of bombs that are right on the ground, being planted on the ground. So the soldiers of Israel, they have to go through that all the way to the other side, pick up those children and make sure they don't step on it, and bring them here, take care of them, heal them, make sure they're fine. And they were doing all this thing to the point, this is when I saw the child drawing the Israeli flag. Yes, if any country serves humanity, we should respect that, and we shouldn't stop questioning why Israel is doing that for the sake of humanity, because he wants that child to grow up and be our friend, or be the Israelis' friend, rather than being the enemy. It's a new vision. No one wants war anymore. Maybe at one stage we had different leaders, we had different perspective, and we were at war. But right now, what we see, the best way forward is no, we don't need war, we need peace. And if for peace we have to fight, yes, we will fight and we will stand together.
Amjad,
And the only, yes, go ahead.
Amjad, excuse me. I just want to give other people chance to
Absolutely.
I mean, first of all, Shimi, the thing that I didn't like is that person came and started talking about me and and Mo, and don't even call him my name, Mohammed. So, like, to belittle myself. Anyways, but that's beyond topic. That's beside the topic. As a matter of fact, every argument that you made does not make sense. So, for instance, the blame, you were talking about war. No one here is talking about war. No one here was talking about war. Actually, moments before you came, Shimi and others here on stage were making the argument that every Muslim country must be backward economically because of Islam. I don't know if you share that point of view, but that was the topic of our discussion.
I heard that comment from yourself, not Shimi.
Now you came, you have discourse, you wanted to pronounce the discourse, we welcome. But the thing is that's off topic. Now I'm going to talk about you've said. You're saying that because Israel has saved, which we do agree on one thing, Israelis are human beings. No one here is denying the humanity of Israelis or saying that Israelis are horrible people by instinct. We're discussing politics here, geopolitics. We're discussing the leadership. Do we really need on the land what I call the land of Palestine, and instead bet that? Do we need a Jewish leadership? Don't we need a shared leadership or an Arab leadership? That we were discussing this from a theoretical point of view. So you make the argument that because Israel saved some children, because most of the refugees, Syrian refugees, made it to Turkey, made it to Jordan, made it to Lebanon. If a few children were saved by the Israeli army so that they would make the argument, look at us, we are nice, we're taking pictures with Israeli children. I don't think that's an argument.
I'm
That is
sorry.
not
I'm
an argument.
sorry. I just want to
This
say
is
something.
Shimi. Oh, one sec, sorry. This is
Amjad.
Mo. If you
No, call
take
me
one
Muhammad.
example,
If you want to engage a conversation with me, you call me Muhammad. My name, it's Muhammad.
He's
That's the name
a
they gave me.
coward. He cannot
And then,
I
Muhammad,
don't have
can
an
you
issue. I
stop
don't have an
talking
issue
for a
with.
second,
So
and then I
please?
will
you
call
You're
you.
don't
I will call.
speak
restricting
about
the
him.
stage.
Then I will call you Ma'za. I will call you Ma'za. Go ahead.
Yes,
I
please
want to
do.
thank
Yes, please do.
Amjad
I,
for
I
his
would.
kind words. I want to
Sorry.
thank Amjad as an Israeli for his kind words on stage. I don't know why you're attacking him. I just came up
No one is
to
attacking
thank him
anyone
and to
here.
tell
We're
him
having a
thank you.
conversation. A
Shimi,
And
conversation.
that's it.
Shimi,
It's a
one
civil
second,
conversation.
1 second. You are not civil. You are not even close to be civil. You are
Of
Lebanon.
course I
insulting
am.
the
But I'm
guy
a
here.
minority opinion on
You
stage, so it's very
You
easy for
are
you to
you
attack
are
me.
Shimi,
disputing
Shimi,
insulting
the
stages.
him.
guy
Guys,
is insulting
hold on a
Amjad.
second, guys, hold
That's
on a
fine.
second,
That's
please.
fine. That's
I
fine, guys.
don't want to turn I don't want to turn the debate that we're having
Sure.
right now into a personal one. Okay?
Absolutely.
If
Yeah.
someone want to
Let,
challenge Muhammad, please go ahead, but please
okay.
let's not start with cursing
Sure.
and all that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm just asking
Shimi,
you.
thank
Call me
you.
So
by my
can
Shimi,
name,
I
you
not
He
should
by
can
tell
my
asked
I
me
him
a
say
the
name.
question.
same.
something to
You should tell him
Okay.
the
So,
Amjad?
same.
so we're going to
Shimi,
create
can I say something, please? Can I?
go
Thank
ahead.
you very much. Okay, I came up to stay. First of all, thank you for inviting me to the stage, and I just wanted first of all to say thank you to Amjad for his kind words about Israel and what you just said. And yeah, that's it for me for now. I just think that there are maybe one or two people on the stage that are known already in the past to cause some problems on stages here regarding Israel
There's no
and
problem.
some very
The only problem
controversial.
from you
I'm
is that I
talking
think
now.
differently
Let
from
me
you. That's the
talk.
only problem. Your only problem
Let
is that I
me
think differently from you.
talk. Let me talk. So, and respect, right?
No, you don't respect me. You're calling me a problem. I'm not a problem. I'm having my own
who
opinion.
did
Shimi, if
I
someone interrupting, could
let
you
me
mute
finish
him? One
talking.
sec, one sec.
Muhammad,
Shimi, if
believe
someone
me,
interrupts,
hold on a
mute
second.
them.
Okay, I hear you, Muhammad. I hear you, Amjad. Muhammad, I promise you, I'm going to give you the chance to reply and to say whatever you want to say. Okay, so let's give the lady let's give the lady the right to finish whatever she want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's what. So I just came into the room about 5 minutes ago. I wanted to thank Amjad for his kind words regarding Israel and the region, and I think it's a breath of fresh air for me as an Israeli to hear that. Regarding certain individuals that are on the stage, and I know already from the past, and I don't think what they say is appropriate for what's happening here. That's another issue. So thank you for now.
Thank you.
The problem with people like Iris, because I will call her by her name. I don't play games here.
Did you give him the right to speak right
is
now?
the
He
fact
just
that
jumped.
when you
Just
don't
jumped again.
Okay.
Amjad,
Yeah,
you
it's
calm
just
down.
been
I'm
typical.
speaking. Don't speak over me.
I'm very
No,
calm, but
he
I'm
interrupts me. He
surprised how you
talks over
jumped
me.
into
Guys, cool down.
So I'm speaking.
Hold on a second, Muhammad, please. Thank you. Amjad, I promise I'm going to give you the chance to speak and to say your mind. Okay. Let's give.
I'm perfectly fine with this, by the way, but I'm just telling you something that if you, what you should do, or if it's possible to do, that if
Silence,
it's
Muhammad. We're
Mo's
talking here.
turn,
I mean, you're making no
if it's
sense. You're not the
Mo's turn,
moderator here. You're not the moderator.
if
What
it's
are you talking about?
again, if it's Mo's turn, then he speaks. But if he jumps into everyone's conversation, he shows
You
a
finished. I was
disrespect.
talking. You didn't like it.
He
You want to
shows
talk over me.
disrespect
Hold on,
towards
That's your
others,
problem. You're triggered.
and the fact that
Muhammad,
he is
cool down.
disrespectful
Okay,
to everyone else.
guys, cool down. Okay, Amjad, I will tell you why I'm giving Muhammad more speaking time because
Muhammad, yeah.
we are. Hold on a second, Muhammad, please. Thank you. I'm giving Muhammad a more speaking time because he's the minority here. Okay, so I want to be fair to him. Okay, I don't want to give him the sense that we're
I mean,
attacking
Shimi,
him and we're
He
not giving
just
him the sense.
attacked me on stage,
yeah.
Jimmy. What?
Shimi.
What?
He's behaving. He's a troll.
No, I'm not a troll.
Okay,
Look, Shimi,
okay.
just one thing.
Everybody
He
have
just attacked me on stage.
Shimi. Just one thing.
Everybody have his own right
He
for
asked
his
me a
own
question and
opinion.
I'm about to
By the way,
answer it.
Shimi,
That's all.
just
Go
one
ahead.
thing. Actually, when Amjad was talking, I didn't interrupt him the slightest.
Okay,
I
so
didn't interrupt
please
him the
reply.
slightest.
Okay, get to the
He
point,
talked about
Muhammad. Get
me.
to the point.
I
Reply
was
to
quiet.
Iris.
I was patient. I just let him finish. Now, what Iris did, she didn't contribute anything to the stage. That's her habit. When she would come here, actually,
Who's
in every stage
asking
where I
you
am,
even? You
everything what she does, in every stage where I was, she would
Wait.
come to the
You
moderators, and if the
are
moderators
a
are Israelis,
troll
Wait,
she
can
would
I
who keeps
ask
speak?
going
them
on
to
stages.
move me
Get
down.
Can I
out of
please
here
That's
speak?
the
and
everything.
quickly.
I haven't
That's the
spoken
thing
in
she
a
does
while.
all the
Can I
time.
please speak?
God,
Muhammad,
you're
wait.
attacking me.
Can I please speak? I have been here this whole time. And you let Amjad speak, that's true. But when you interrupted Iris, that was insane. You interrupted her. She just wanted to say thank you to Amjad.
She
just
said
wanted
this.
to
I didn't
speak.
interrupt her, Shani.
Shut
Wait, wait. You are interrupting right now. That's what you're doing, and you constantly
Because you're
did
distorting
that
facts, Shani.
before these people joined. You did that also. So I'm just mentioning that.
Shani, no.
Also,
actually, it's not
wait.
productive because what you're doing now
God.
is that you're siding by a pro-Israeli. That's not, I mean, like I would expect that from you.
No,
It's not a
no,
problem.
this has
I'm
nothing to
not
do
surprised.
with it. This
Actually,
has
what I'm
nothing
saying,
to
Shani, because maybe
do.
this is the first time you're talking to each
This,
other. Right? I've
this
told
has
you.
It's
nothing
Yeah.
to
Let me
do
say the point. Let me
with
say.
it.
Let me
You
say.
are
Anyway,
interrupting this
facts,
woman.
it's not about
pro
me.
peace.
It's not about me. So let me
It's
carry
about
on
pro facts and
with
pro
my argument
peace.
here.
This
Let me carry
woman
on
was
with my
speaking
argument.
her mind. Was
Yeah.
speaking her mind. Was
No,
Muhammad,
saying her
let's
not
same
her
give
mind.
views,
Muhammad.
I'm speaking
and
my mind
Muhammad.
right now.
you interrupted
Muhammad.
her.
Okay, I want to hold on a second,
Let
guys.
me just say
I want
something,
to
man.
hold on a second, Muhammad. No, please hold on a second. I wanted to create a queue here. So first of all, I want to Shani to speak. After that, Amjad, and then Lebanon, and then you. Okay, thank you. Go, please, Shani.
Amjad just spoke. I was going to answer him. You don't want me to answer his
Okay,
points?
You asked me a question.
I mean that's crazy.
No,
You
you
just want
asked.
to keep it among
It's not
yourselves.
crazy.
You can
It's
go
not
for that.
crazy. You asked a question,
No,
Jimmy.
and then I
you
was
can go
about
for
to
that,
answer you.
Jimmy. The thing is, what I'm saying here is that Iris, every time I was on stage, she would ask the moderators to move me down. She wants
I will
my
not.
voice to be
Okay,
colorful.
Muhammad.
All right,
You're a
Okay,
liar.
That's
Muhammad.
her only contribution.
Everyone,
And there
watch
is a
this.
Doesn't
Everyone,
precedence
matter.
to that.
Shimmy, everyone, watch this. Let's try this, please. Everyone,
Now back to
I
the
ask you,
argument.
everyone mute. Let him talk. Give him 5 minutes. Let him talk.
Yeah, let him
We'll
talk.
finish.
Let's see
Right.
where we
Okay,
get.
go
Just
ahead,
let him say
Muhammad.
whatever he
Go
wants.
ahead.
Exactly. So, first of all, we were talking. We were not talking about any. We did not talk about hatred between Muslims and Jews. As a matter of fact, there must be no hatred between any group and another group. And you've asked me, Shimi, the question, and I've told you, thanks God, in my heart, I bear no hatred to any human group, and including the Jews, but because the Jews are human beings. Now, we're making a difference between a discussion about the relations from individuals to individuals and between the groups and between the religious groups. Although you both, Shimi and Shani, you made the arguments moments ago that Islam is conducive to backwardness first, and Shani also made the argument that the halakha, the Jewish law, the Jewish religion is superior to the Islamic religion.
Why
And
are you twisting my words?
I'm not twisting your words. No problem.
Shani, we know, we all heard. Let him.
Excuse me, I never
Let
said
him.
that. I never said that.
Shani, we
Having said
understand.
that,
I swear we understand the lies. Let him.
there's no
Just
lies.
give
There's
him.
no lies.
Sonny,
There are no
let's
lies.
give him
Let him.
his 5
No lies.
minutes. Sonny,
There
let's
are
give
no
him his...
lies, and actually, I trust my sanity enough to know that I'm telling exactly what has been told in this room. So now, Amjad has came to the stage and repeated that there is no problem between Muslims and the Jews, which I think I agree with. There is no problem, essentially, between the Muslims and the Jews. The problem that we've got here is that I will go by argument by argument. So he made the argument that
Sorry, just to correct you, there is no problem with Islam and Zionism. That's what I believe
and Judaism. That's
right?
okay. So then
Zionism.
Yeah. Okay, I disagree with that.
Zionism.
Okay, fair enough. So
Zionism.
if you are to talk about Judaism, I would agree. If you are to talk about Zionism, I would disagree. Okay, clear enough. But again, Bichimi, just moments before you came, he said that the argument of saying that Palestine should belong to the Palestinians is equivalent to us throwing the Jews to the sea. And I said, not at all. The discussion is that the Zionist argument is that the leadership in the land should be Jewish. That is why there should be a Jewish supremacy. That is why there is a law called the Basic Law of the 2018, which focuses and insists on Israel being the homeland of the Jews, and that the Jewish element is the most important. And the Palestinians who hold the mirror opinion and who would say we have no problem. Actually, we would just want the leadership to be that of the Palestinians or of the Muslims or of the Arabs. And at the end of the day, you can trust us. We will just treat you the same way you also pretend you would treat your minorities. Just perfectly fine. And if you now in Israel, you will go and find churches and monasteries, it's because Muslims have
Muhammad,
given
which Palestinian? Just so I'm taking note. Which Palestinians say that?
Which Palestinian state what?
Yes, the PLO, the Hamas. It says that if we be in power, all right, but it doesn't matter what's your identity and that, as long as we lead. Which Palestinian says that?
Everybody, everyone.
Yes.
That's even. I mean, I would say that the argument from. I mean, even Hamas would make that argument. They would say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
go ahead. Yes,
they would say actually the point is about the leadership, because the most extremist amongst I would say our community, the community of the Muslims, they know that there is always a leeway for minorities to exist in Muslim societies, even if they were to rule by medieval law, not to talk about modern law. So I think the discussion is not about throwing anybody to the sea. The discussion is that the same way we respect the Zionists we respect their physical integrity. When a Zionist comes to me and tells me, I believe that this land should be led by the Jews, I would say, you're entitled to have that opinion. But at the same time, you can't deny the other's rights to hold the same opinion and just reverse the roles and say the leadership should be ours. That's the thing. We're not discussing here who's better, who's worse, who's the nice guy, who treats his wife better, who gets his breakfast sooner than the other. No, we're just discussing that basic fact. And I think the argument about Hamas and the strawman argument is disingenuous. And even to go, I will be cynical here. You made the argument that Hamas actually they don't target well, they may target whatever even Ghazawi themselves because they don't have the technology. I mean, like if Israel is generous enough to provide them with precision technology, maybe they will not target wrong targets anymore. So I mean, I mean that discussion is not conducive to peace. I think what is conducive to peace is honesty and people exchanging points of views. If I am ready not to be shocked by any opinion you provide, I am ready to discuss that with anyone. You shouldn't, on the other hand, belittle the opinion of the other side by making them sound by your words as stupid or less worthy of having a place on the table. Because then that would be just you not having the courage to discuss with them your opinion. And you're entitled, everybody here on stage is entitled to defend their points of view. And at the same time, they also should listen to what the other side has to say without portraying the others as being evil. Because the way it is framed as if the fight as if the question of Israel or Palestine is a question of the good and the evil in an absolute sense, which it is not. And I am of the opinion that actually this discussion, when it is framed that way, is very toxic to the relations between Muslims and Jews worldwide, because there should be no problem at all. We can discuss with Jews, and actually do that in the diaspora. We can discuss other things than the Israel-Palestine thing. We can also tactically be allies on many fronts, on very specific things. I will just give an example out of many. Like in Europe,
Muhammad, before you give an example, I think Nabia have something to say. Nabia, do you want to say something? Do you want to contribute to this discussion?
Yes, hi everybody. The way I want to contribute is, first I want to say, sorry to say, you are being a lot of people are being disrespectful to Muhammad, and I don't see you like
You swore at
being
me. You
fair.
swore at me. So you used the filthy language against myself. You did.
Muhammad speaks fluent Hebrew, by the way, Amjad and Shlomi. He speaks
Oh,
fluent
that's fine.
Hebrew.
See, they don't give
He used to
anybody a
come.
chance.
He, I
As
want to
as
say
soon
No,
as
no, no,
I
something.
Okay,
Nadia.
Fine.
When you speak
I
about
want to
no,
say.
wait,
somebody
Shimi. When
starts
you speak,
speaking, I'm not speaking
when you
about
speak
this
about
guy. This
filthy
guy,
language, you
I
were
don't
the
even want to
first
hear
one to
his
use a
voice.
filthy
His
language
voice
against
makes me.
myself.
I don't want to
Yeah.
hear
If
his
my
voice.
voice
His voice
makes you
makes me
sick,
upset.
all right,
I
okay,
don't
I
feel
care.
heard,
yourself
I heard.
outside.
Shimi,
Feel yourself
I
outside,
nobody's
man.
heard what you
talking.
said. Hold on a second. Amjad, I heard what you said to you in Arabic, and I do understand what you said. But okay, let's go. Okay,
Yeah, because
let's
the
give
way
her a chance
I don't
to.
even want to
So
speak
you
about
acknowledge the
an
fact that
ignorance
Shimi.
and
So
somebody
you
arguing
acknowledge
I
the
with
fact that
acknowledge
she
the
Shimi,
fact
used
that
filthy
Shimi,
we
one,
language.
respect
Anyway,
you.
yeah,
so what's going on? Talking or listening to,
Okay,
I don't
go
know
ahead,
who's
go
We're
ahead.
talking.
not listening
Okay,
to
so I
trolls.
just want to know, Shimi, I wanted to
All
know
right,
the
that's fine.
purpose of your room is for people just to come and cheer you, like be your cheerleaders, saying the same thing you say, or you want people to like have different opinions and
Okay,
respect
okay,
everybody? Because
okay.
I don't feel
Say
a
what you want
respect.
to say.
Okay,
Let,
so
let
No,
her
there's
talk,
no
guys.
respect,
Let her.
not
Give
for
her.
you
Give her the mic.
and
Let her
not
talk.
for
Let her talk.
Muhammad.
Let her talk. I know
Let
the
her
more. I
talk,
know.
please,
Guys.
let her
Let her
talk.
talk, please. Let her. They love doing that. Let them. Let them.
Okay.
I'll respond to
okay,
them
see,
both
see,
in one second.
Shimi,
Let
when
her
this
talk.
stupid
Go
guy
ahead.
is
Go
not
ahead.
here, I will participate. But now I don't want to be in with this. I mean,
Shimi, I have a
حسبي
question
الله
for
ونعم
you.
No,
I
الوكيل.
have a question for
Let him
you,
Lebanon.
Shimi.
joke. Let him joke.
Please.
Shimi,
Excuse
Guys,
Okay.
Shimi,
me.
Can I
I
talk
Shimi,
now,
understand
Shimi?
you,
Shimi,
Amjad.
Shimi.
Can I
Amjad,
talk,
Let
I,
me
Shimi,
I
now?
answer.
understand you.
Yeah,
I see your point.
Shimi,
Moments
can I
ago,
talk now? Can I talk?
yeah.
Now Mo is interrupting. It's not your
by
turn.
the way,
No,
Shimi,
no.
can
Muhammad,
I
I
just
just
talk?
to
want you
You
let
to
you
make
you
one
told
know,
me I can
sentence,
respond.
Muhammad,
if you
You
allow me
told
to
me I
hold
can
on,
answer,
respond.
and I'll be
hold
done.
on a
You
second,
told me I
guys.
can respond.
Muhammad,
Yes.
Shimi, you said I can
hold
Just
on,
respond.
one
hold on a
sentence,
second.
Shimi.
Mo,
Yeah, one
mute
sentence.
yourself.
Before you say your sentence,
Mute yourself, Mo.
I want to the room to acknowledge that this lady came into the room and start cursing Amjad and saying Allah Hadik and all that. So yeah, it's a bad start for having an open discussion. But okay, Muhammad,
All right.
No,
what
just
do you
wanted to
want?
No,
say
Mo,
something, Shimi. You
Shimi,
say
he
moments ago.
finished.
Yeah,
Now
I'm
is
just, if you allow me
my turn
to
to
be very
respond.
short, very brief, very brief. It's
All right, go ahead.
it has nothing to do
Go
with
ahead.
you. Yeah. So
Go ahead.
Shimi, you said moments ago, what did Iris just do? She told you he speaks Hebrew. Then
Don't
and then
Iris,
you
attack
I
can
beg
ask
me
you,
yourself
or
why she's
Iris,
saying
I
that.
beg you
Shh.
not to respond to him.
She
I
always
beg you
makes
not to
that
respond to him.
argument. She always goes to rooms. Her and
Okay.
another lady, I think she's in the room, Sheer, who would never have the courage to talk to me face to face. You
Don't
go to
talk
rooms
Iris,
and
bad
you're
say,
better than
about me
this. You're
and
"Oh,
better
he
than
Sheer.
speaks
this.
Hebrew.
Excuse me.
He's
Don't
a
Iris,
speak
spy.
about
Iris.
other
He's
people
Shani,
behind their
Shani.
back.
to
Yeah,
cancel me
Muhammad,
out,"
Don't
please,
speak about.
which is
Muhammad,
a total
Please
disrespect.
do not speak about people that are not part of
Okay.
this discussion. Okay,
May
please.
I?
Total
Okay,
Let's
thank
not
you.
do
disrespect.
that.
I'm
All
done.
right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay,
May I
let's give
respond now?
Amjad okay, go ahead, Amjad.
All right. There is first. I'm going to start with this, and please don't interrupt everyone. Thank you very much in advance. When it comes to the technique of some of the Palestinians or the pro-Palestinians, unfortunately, what they do, there are two ways they do. They either use a filthy language towards you, okay, that's one of their tactics. The second tactic is what they do, they make it an individual conversation, which means they target a certain individual in a certain way where they make sure that you're out of the topic. Now, you got to be smart. What you do not tackle anything that comes individual ways, like they swear at you and all this stuff. Ignore it like you don't hear it at all, and keep running the conversation, and you will win that conversation because that's their tactic. You're always on the right when it comes to their ways. Okay. Now let's go to the points Mo mentioned. Mo mentioned about the Palestinians are ready for Palestinians. They are more than happy to have any leadership from any faith to run a country. Now, that's absolutely not true. First, in the Hamas manifest, says that they believe in the whole, the so-called Palestine, and the same time that they believe that the Jewish people should go back to their country. I don't know what country they mean, but that's in the manifesto of Hamas, and they say they fight in Zionist, all the Zionists. Now, one thing anyone knows anything about history or knows anything about terminologies throughout history knows that if you're an anti-Zionist, you're an anti-Semitic, you're an anti-Jew, and you are looking for the death and the end of the Jewish state of Israel. Anyone plays around those terminologies, know one thing: they're anti-Semitics, or they haven't got the chance the Nazis had. That's all. That's the only difference. That's absolutely the only difference. Okay. Now, when it comes to the Palestinians Authority, or the Palestinian Hamas, and the Palestinian Authority to Muhammad, they themselves, among themselves, they do not trust themselves when it comes to a little bit of authority. For example, Hamas and PLO have fought over Gaza when, after the Oslo Agreement, Israel decided to retreat and give them the whole authority of Gaza. Guess what happened? Hamas came into power and stopped killing the Fatah people, Palestinian people, killed more than 500 innocent Palestinian people for them to be in power. Now, you think such a militia will give a power to the Israelis or the Christians or anyone that they did not give it to their own brothers right next door from exactly the same region, the same ethnicity, the same language, and the same religion? Those people, if anything, are thirsty for one thing. That's called the authority, and thirsty for power only. They do not give a crap about, and I'm sorry to use that kind of terminology here, but it's just to describe how bad they are. They do not care about the Palestinians or the Palestinian people or the Palestinian ethnic minorities and so on. They don't care. They only care about one thing. It's called power, and this is why they fight each other. They kill each other. Right now, if you go to the Judea or Samaria or West Bank, as people call it, if you go to it, they themselves, they're killing each other among themselves. Now, if Israel was there and Israel was controlling it, it would be way more peaceful. And now you're going to tell me, how is that possible? I tell you, go have a look at those Arab villages and Arab cities inside Israel. They live in peace, prosperity, having even their own courts and their own civil courts, which means they get married under their law and regulation and so on. All right. When in West Bank, prisons, they get killed, they get tortured. A lot of them, they get blackmailed, and there's just all over YouTube. They blackmail each other, their own people, where they send someone and they naked and they put it right on YouTube. And when it comes to Gaza, it's absolutely, there is no control. Every 2-3 areas is under a militias. And those militias, do they have, he says about Israel Israel is not giving them enough, is not supporting the people. Israel is giving them electricity, is giving them water, is supporting them with finance, and is allowing Qatar to send them money. This is what Israel is doing.
Thank
Israel
you, Amjad.
also helping the Palestinian Authority, training them, helping them, trying to give them the best involved. And he helps a lot of hospitals and so on. And he, in fact, he provides them with ambulances and so many things. I can go on and on and on and on. And he doesn't, you can check it in the United Nations if you don't trust the Israelis or the Palestinians, and how much aid Israel has given to the Palestinians. But guess what happens? That country is full of corruption, or that state is full of corruption. There is two different things here, and I'm just going to finish with this. There's two things, right? It's people on the Israeli side who glorify life, and they want to glorify peace, and people on the Palestinian side who are glorifying death and glorifying war. And that's two different things. This is why the countries of the Abrahamic Accord chose to stand and go with peace. If we thought there is no country around the world goes and shake the hands of a country that they think it doesn't bring peace, it doesn't bring prosperity, it doesn't bring technology, it doesn't make us thrive. Everyone starts shaking the hand. There is 163 countries around the world are recognizing Israel and having relationship with Israel. There's rarely anyone recognizing the state of the PLO. And in fact, everyone knows it's full of corruption. And there's no one recognized Hamas apart from some terrorist regimes such as Iran. Question yourself when you stand with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Amjad.
Shimi, actually, with all due respect to Amjad, I think maybe
My
I
last
don't know.
point, I just had a number. I didn't
Shimi,
finish. Just one last second, 20
You
seconds.
want to say something?
Yeah, just 1 second.
Go ahead.
There is $72 billion been sent since the 67 to the Palestinian Authority. 72 billions can build a whole city.
Since when? Since when, Jamjad? Since when? Which state?
67.
67. Go ahead. Okay, thanks.
$72 billion. So much and so many, and still money still flooding into them, into Gaza and to the West Bank. He hasn't built anything.
Are you
These
done,
people
Amjad? Or
are corruptions.
Yeah.
They don't care about the people.
Okay. I just want to say something to that. First of all,
Shimi, the room is for Muhammad for only him
go ahead,
to
Lebanon,
respond and speak.
I'm a minority opinion here. Amjad say something. If you are going to challenge Amjad, then go for it. Otherwise, it will be only me who will challenge what he just said.
Muhammad, yes, you're right, but Lebanon was waiting very patiently.
Sure, yeah. I can answer both of them in a row. No problem. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Muhammad. Go ahead, excuse me, Lebanon. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, yeah, look, to be honest, I'm not interested in this conversation anymore because the room, it should be called for Muhammad only because he's the only one here speaking. Just 1 second, Iris. I will finish very fast. Okay. So, for this, I believe more rooms with Shir, Eli, and Amjad, it will be more productive from this because this one is, we heard him many times. I only accept the invitation to come up to stage because you dropped him down. That's it. And when you said to no one to insult Ahmad, but you let everyone insult Amjad, like Nadia and Ahmad. They insulted him both.
He insulted me too, Lebanon. If you don't recall me,
I know.
yeah.
And
I didn't
Iris
insult
too.
anyone.
Yes, you did.
My name is Muhammad,
What
by the
did
way,
you
but I
call?
didn't
What?
insult anyone.
Shut it a little bit. Shut
I'm
it
not
a little. Shut your
because
mouth.
you're very
Shut your mouth.
disrespectful.
Shut your mouth.
This is not.
Shut your
You're
mouth.
This is not permissible.
Shut your mouth.
Shimi, this is
Lebanon,
not permissible.
guys,
I'm giving you
Shimi,
your
I
money
have my
back.
personality, and I'm leaving this
You're just
this
commenting
this
on
room.
me. You don't have nothing to
I'm
say.
leaving this room. Go fuck
Just leave.
yourself, man.
Okay, good.
Lebanon,
Wow.
Lebanon,
That's the level.
Wow.
Lebanon, hold on a
That's the
second.
level.
Guys, hold on a second. Guys, hold on a second. I am, as a moderator, trying to find a compromise between all sides, okay? I want to have, an open debate. And if I'm going to take a side, it's not going to contribute to this discussion that we're having. So believe me, it's quite hard to find a balance between all sides. So it will be appreciated if you can help me with that and not making my job harder. So hold on a second, Muhammad. Before Muhammad going to reply or say whatever you want to say, I forgot. I noticed that someone wanted to speak, but I forgot who was it.
Maybe Yoni. I don't know. He's on stage
Maybe
too.
Yoni. Yoni, you are the one that. Okay, so
9 minutes here.
שימי, יש לי משהו להגיד לך בעברית. אני לא יודעת כמה זמן אתה על האפליקציה הזאת. יש פה
הוא
מישהו
יודע
ואנשים...
שאני דובר עברית. אנחנו דיברנו בעברית.
זה לא משנה. רגע, אתה עוד פעם נכנס לדברים. יואו, אתה לא... מי דיבר איתך? אני רוצה רגע להגיד לשימי משהו בעברית. יש פה בעייתיות על הבמה הזאת. יש פה בן אדם שהוא אומר משהו והוא לא מישהו. הוא מדבר עברית רהוטה, הוא היה נכנס לנו לחדרים של הישראלים בהתחלה המון. אני מעריכה כל בן אדם...
די, תן לו לדבר.
אני מעריכה כל בן אדם באשר הוא, ואני נותנת לאנשים לדבר בכל קצוות הקשת, אבל פה יש בעייתיות, ואתה חייב להבין את זה ולחקור ולראות מי אתה מעלה על הבמות ומי מדבר פה. אני רק אומרת לך את זה בעברית, שתבין ותדע עם מי אתה מתעסק.
אם את הייתי רוצה,
אל תתקוף אותי, לא דיברתי. תקפת אותי, תקפת את שיר, תקפת את זה.
Hold on a second, guys, hold on a second. אני אענה בעברית.
היא רק מדברת עליי, אני חייב לענות.
אני אתן לך את
כי אתה
ההזדמנות
טרול.
לענות. מוחמד, I'm gonna give you a chance to answer, אוקיי? בגלל שאתה מדבר עברית, אני אענה לאיריס בעברית, שגם אתה תבין.
כן.
אוקיי? איריס, אני מכיר את מוחמד, כבר הבנתי מי הוא מוחמד, ועמדתי על טיבו ומה יש לו להציע, אוקיי? אני לא נאיבי ואני לא חי באיזה מציאות אחרת. אבל אני אגיד לכם מה אני כן מוצא אצל מוחמד, ולמה אני כן כל הזמן מעלה אותו לבמות, ואני שמח לשמוע מה שיש לו להגיד. אוקיי, תראי, היה לי משהו לענות לך, אבל פשוט קפצתם ועף לי כל החוט מחשבה.
happens to everybody.
ברור, כי למה שאתה תשמח לארח מישהו כזה? אני לא
Guys, I got
מבינה,
another 8
אין שום
minutes, but
סיבה.
I'm just.
אני אסביר
Sorry,
למה.
Shani. I have 8 minutes and I'm just going to be leaving. So if there is any comment on
Yeah,
what I said,
it's very late in
more than
Israel.
happy
So
to.
we just spoke to Shimi in Hebrew regarding certain things that I know already from previous rooms here and everything, and I just gave him an idea to
הוא
check
יודע,
things out.
שני פה בבמה, אני דיברתי איתה בעברית, היא גם יודע. אני לא... אין סוד בכל הדבר הזה.
You're not even proud of saying you're a Palestinian. You're
את
ashamed of
מגיעה
saying.
פה, אומרת שאני דובר עברית,
נכון,
כל בן אדם, כולם יודעים שאני דובר עברית, אז מה...
לא כולם.
לא, כולם.
אוקיי.
This is one reason why, in my opinion, all Jews should learn and understand Hebrew. Because this room is English, it's Hebrew, which are the two languages in this room that I can understand, and there's Arabic and whatever that I can't understand. But as a Jew, I'm proud to be able to say that I understand the Hebrew that Israelis speak, because I learned it and because I lived there, and I just love the language. Be honest with you, it's a beautiful one. Anyway, go out and start your Hebrew with an Israeli, preferably. I don't know how much longer this room's going to go, because it's kind of declining, but let me go back and listen and we'll decide. Tell me in the side chat if you...
אני, מוחמד, שאני שומע אותו בחדרים, הוא נותן טיעונים טובים, הוא לא מקלל, הוא לא משפיל, נכון? אני כן חושב שיש הרבה דברים בעייתיים ממה שאומר, אבל אני אומר, בואו תתמודדו איתו אינטלקטואלית.
מה? הוא לא מקלל ולא משפיל? הוא לא מקלל ולא משפיל?
בואי
ראית איך הוא
תגידי,
התנהג לאיריס? ראית איך הוא התנהג לי? ראית איך הוא התנהג לשיר?
שנייה.
מה זה? סליחה, זה
Can
לא
I
קללות.
say one sentence?
זה לא רק
I'm leaving.
קללות, זה לא רק קללות.
Shimmy, can I?
Don't leave. Wait a second.
זה התנהגות של בן אדם. זה התנהגות של בן אדם. לא, סליחה, רגע, תן לי לדבר.
Shimmy, I'm just...
See? Right now, it's a balagan. But hopefully Shimi will bring it all together.
He spoke. I was going to answer Amjad. So now
No,
I'm
no,
going to
let
speak
him speak a little bit more,
people.
please.
He made an argument. I was going to respond to his argument, and now he's making another argument.
No.
Amjad want to go. Okay, so let's give him a minute
but
to say whatever.
Shimi, this is
But
not
I would
fair.
love
You
to
cannot...
answer his questions. I would like to have his
give me
answers.
1 sec. Mohammed, give me 1 sec. This is not fair, Shimi, because we want to hear the other side too. Because you let this, the one, you let him
please
speak.
respect the stage.
And then
what's your name?
I'm not
I
talking to you.
thought you're not going to speak while I'm here.
Oh
I thought you're not going to speak while I'm here, Nadia.
Shimi, you are the
You came back on your words,
moderator.
just like the PLO.
Nadia, I'm just...
So many of you
Amjad,
come back on
no
their
problem.
words, yeah?
Oh, I'd say in about, 48 hours there will be total peace in the Middle East based on this conversation that I've been listening to, that we've been listening to. Wouldn't you say? What do you think? Do you think there's ever going to be a situation where nobody's arguing about bullshit? Is there ever going to be a situation where everybody's more interested in science and space and nature and reality? Is there ever going to be a time? Listen in. Listen to this.
Continue to lie.
Yeah, please don't let them, tell them lies, and then
You
you
came
believe them.
back,
When you hear
Nadia.
No
something
problem,
You're
no
You
different,
said
problem.
you're
telling
not going to
Look,
come
Shimi,
back.
Shimi,
Excuse
Shimi,
us
While I'm
me,
on the
lies.
phone.
okay?
excuse me,
Shimi,
what
Shimi, just one
lies?
thing.
Okay,
Listen,
guys,
You
please.
wanna
guys,
hear
guys.
I want to say one
Muhammad?
thing.
You
I want
wanna?
to.
Well, I think I'm going to open up a clubhouse myself and just broadcast it like this with full moderation. Look at those people. There's too many people up in the speakers. Look at that. Even Rabbi Ash is still there. he should never be allowed more than 60 seconds. That's it. That should be his allotment. But I don't know. If I open up a room, number one, I think I'd moderate it myself, maybe 3 in total. And number two, I don't think I'd have more than half a dozen people up in the speakers block at one time, so that we can actually have a continuous flowing conversation with many participants of both opinions or of differing opinions. So let's see what's going on in the clubhouse right now.
All right, that's perfectly fine. First of all, I want to thank
Excellent.
everyone for listening to all the conversation in whichever respect you have. One thing I want to send right from here, from Dubai, the word to everyone, all the Israelis, all the Jewish
Dubai.
community, all the Jewish people all around the world, that together we stand and together we thrive. And people like many that you heard their voices today, believe it or not, as much as they have these theories about Israel and that, tomorrow as Israel flourish more and more, they be the first one who are applying for the visa to join and be and live in Israel and in the beautiful city of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. They will want that, and they will. And one last thing, last word, last comment to everyone. You see how many people, they didn't want to hear my voice and then they came back to hear it. A lot of people who do not recognize Israel, they will come back and recognize it one day. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for
Amjad,
having
will
me.
you stay here for a couple of minutes then?
Yeah, I wanna
You
hear
Three
still here?
minutes,
Muhammad. I
yes,
don't
to
wanna
Yeah.
hear
listen
your
to you.
So
voice.
Yes,
I
3
think I
minutes.
have an issue with
Go ahead.
your arguments now, because I was expecting something bitter honed from you, because you were saying is that because for instance, you're making the argument that because the Mexicans are going to America because America is doing better, or because or the or the people in Vietnam, of South Vietnam, they went in droves to the U.S. after the withdrawal of U.S. troops, then it inherently means that the American side of the story is right and the Vietnamese or the Mexican side of the story is wrong. And you apply the same criteria. I'm saying if
No,
any
what I'm
country,
saying that
Dubai
if
or
you
any country,
a country like France, which is
Mhm.
really amazing, makes people like you to come and migrate to them. That's a better example.
But that's
You will do the
okay.
same thing for
That's an
Israel.
argument.
Yes, that's a better example.
What, yeah, yeah, sure, sure. But what do you mean by the argument? If you mean something obvious, you mean that every place wherever it appears that does better economically, it attracts foreign migration. I mean, I see nothing beyond
Absolutely,
that argument. Yeah. So,
absolutely. There is a
but
problem with
that's
that.
not the topic that we're having right now. The topic is
I
not about
didn't.
if a place, because
He
actually,
wasn't speaking about the topic. He was the last comment to myself relating
yes,
a
yes. But
message
I
to
think
people. It wasn't
that
to you.
comment is beside the point. You see, because
Perfect.
actually,
That's fine.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Because the thing is that, for instance, in colonial Africa or any colonial country, you see, the people, the locals used to
I'm not
work in.
speaking. We're not speaking about any colonialism right
No,
now.
I am
So
speaking. That's my mind. You spoke your mind. I'm speaking my mind. So the
that's a
colonial
delusion.
powers were built
Yeah.
were given money, salaries to people to build railroads, to build colonial buildings, and the builders were local people. The bricklayers were locals. They were paid by the colonial power, colonizing their country. It doesn't change any different. It doesn't change anything. You can still get your salary from your colonizer. It's happened in the
Yes.
past. It's happening right now. It could happen in the future. We're not
I
discussing
I
about
I
this.
refer you more since you said for a conversation. I refer you go to a lot of the videos that we uploaded. You can see it on my Instagram as well. I went all the way to the north of Israel to the Arab people in Israel, and I asked them, what would you define yourself? They said, I am an Arab Israeli, not a Palestinian. They live with their Israeli passport, they work there, they don't see it apartheid or they don't see it anything. They say, we live in peace, prosperity, we love this country, we'll
But that's
fight
beside
for
the
it.
point,
They
Amjad.
are
That's
part of
beside
the
the point.
army.
No,
So
that's
when you bring an example of
Can you
colonialism,
stop
it's
interrupting
not the
him?
case in Israel.
no, we're having an exchange. We said we're having an exchange.
Muhammad,
No, Shani,
but
we
he
said
wants to
we're
speak
having an
his
exchange. So
mind.
it's back and forth. So Amjad, the thing is, that's beside the
Oh my
point.
God.
Because if
תתחיל
someone
להשתיק אנשים שנכנסים בפנים.
who מדבר?
לילי,
מה?
שאפו
So
לך, שאפו לך, תראה מה כתבתי לך.
ראיתי לילי, ראיתי.
ראית,
תודה.
סוכן של איראן, לא יודע. אז Amjad, the thing is, that's beside the point. Because if a Palestinian wants to stay in his land, and the only way for him to stay in his land, just like an Indian, an Apache, the only way for him to be in the remaining United States is to be an American citizen, regardless what he thinks of the United States. He will still be compelled if he wants to live in that place, if he wants to have the services, if he wants to have medical treatment, if he wants to have a normal life in the U.S., he will still has to acquire
The
this
difference
citizenship,
is
the American citizenship.
those
We're
Arabs,
discussing
okay,
principles here. You're trying
those
to
Arabs, those Jews who are living in the state of Israel. This is why I think more, and I'm honest. I'm honest with you on this.
I'm being
more
honest
than
too.
happy. Yeah, I'm more than happy to go with you, and your ticket is on mine and me.
No, the Apache.
Right?
Look, the Apaches. The
We'll
Apaches
take
are
you all
also
the way,
happier. They can't
all the
look,
way,
look.
all
The
the way to
Apaches.
Israel.
You
Listen,
see, Amjad, the
those
Apaches in the
Arabs,
U.S. They will not.
they don't.
You can go and tell them. I can go and tell an Apache who's got an American citizenship. I can tell him,
So
look,
arrogant,
you can go
so
to Bolivia,
arrogant.
and in Bolivia, your president is a Native American. And he would tell me, no, man, I live in the
This
U.S.
is more. This is the
You're making the
problem.
same argument.
Excuse
Okay,
me,
but
can I say something, please?
Shani, one second. This is the problem. We're not speaking about those minorities. What we're speaking about that there's a country such as Israel, right?
This country is called the U.S.
Yes, country called the U.S. and country is called Israel. Now, the only difference that U.S. 300 years ago and Israel is 4,000 years ago.
No, that's not true.
There's
Because
a
modern
rich
Israel
history.
is a modern state.
Small difference.
Modern
Wait,
Israel
can I
is
The
please
Zion,
explain?
the Zion
Amjad,
Kingdom.
Amjad.
If you know about the Zion Kingdom,
But that's not
which was built on
that's
the.
not
Wait,
relevant.
I think I
That's not
know your
relevant.
point, Amjad. Can I please explain?
Sorry,
I would like to explain. Thank you. The difference is that the Jews are indigenous to the land of Judea, aka Eretz Israel, and Palestinians are native to the land, which means that the Apaches that you're talking about are exactly like the Jews. They are both indigenous. You are trying to twist everything and say that Palestinians are indigenous, but they are not indigenous because they don't fit the criteria of being indigenous in that land. And if you read about the criteria of being indigenous, you'll see why.
Right.
Palestinians
Okay. So
cannot
that's
fit
your
the
argument.
criteria of
Yeah.
being
Wow.
indigenous. Wait, Palestinians
yeah,
cannot
Shani, you're
fit the
right. We
criteria
as
of being
Arab,
indigenous.
we migrated to the land of Israel
Exactly, like the 7th
That's not the point,
century
through the
Amjad.
Islamic
That's not the
time.
point,
That's it.
Shani. That's not
colonization,
the
and
point at all, Shani. Because I will tell you why.
it is the
First,
point.
I
Wait,
will tell
it
you.
is the
Okay.
point. I
Now, I will
didn't
tell you why
finish.
I
Wait,
differ on that.
but wait, I didn't finish. Wait.
Mhm.
So you saying and you comparing is wrong in the first place. You know what I mean? Because the Apaches, or like you call them the Indians, which is an insulting word actually to Native Americans,
Whatever.
is no, whatever. No, because if we had a Native
Shani,
American here,
Shani,
he
sorry,
would.
but Nadia called me in the chat that I'm a Arab Zionist. If you're gonna call
Let
me
us
an
just
Arab
focus
Zionist,
on the
I'm more.
conversation
No,
here.
no, I'm more
I'm
than
not
proud
reading
of that.
chat now.
I'm
I'm
more
here
than
discussing
proud
here
of
with
that.
you guys, so let's
I'm
focus
more
on
than proud of that. If development and peace and prosperity means Zionism, I'm
we're
more than
having our
happy.
time here to
I mean,
talk
and
about
if
the
it means
topic.
the love for
What I'm
Jerusalem, I'm more than happy.
مسكين
And please
مهووس
record
بيا
that.
مهووس
what I'm
بيا مسكين
saying, what I'm
مهووس
What's your
saying.
بيا
point?
Wait, I didn't finish, guys. Can I
Shani.
please speak?
Okay.
Sorry,
What's
Can I
your
Shani.
point?
please
Responding
speak?
to
What?
Nadia.
Like,
It's Amjad who
listen.
interrupted you, by the way.
That's fine. Okay. So my point is that the Jews are indigenous and the Palestinians aren't. And when you look at history and you see how many peace offers and deals we offer the Palestinians again and again, and they refuse to be masters of their own fate, and they refuse to have their own self-determination and wanting to annihilate the Jewish state
Okay.
and Jewish self-determination, okay? Then you see that it is impossible to make peace with someone who wants to kill you.
Shani, you're done?
Okay?
Okay, so I would tell you something. First of all, I think the Apaches have, I mean, like, they could substantiate their claim of being native, right? They can substantiate because they are there, they speak an Amerindian language, we can trace the family of languages they speak it as a mother tongue.
Mo, can I leave now? Is that enough time?
Now,
Can I
Shani.
leave now?
Okay, Amjad. I think
Amjad,
we
please
have other
don't go,
rooms to
because if you go, I go too.
All right, sure.
Amjad, I
Thank
think
you.
I mean,
Yes.
if you are, we can have other rooms to talk. I would have no problem having.
Absolutely, I followed you and I followed the rest.
Yeah, sure. I'll follow you
Thank
back. The thing
Right.
is that I'm fine
Thank you,
speaking to
Amjad,
you.
for everything
So,
you said. I really
have a good night
appreciate it,
and talk to you
and
soon.
have a good day.
Amjad, you're amazing.
Amjad, by the
Thank you
way,
so
can
much
you
for
follow
supporting
me?
Israel.
Hold on a
Yeah.
second. Amjad, can you
Yes.
follow me too? And I appreciate.
Shami, I followed you before
appreciate.
you ask. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I appreciate you being in my room and contributing so much into our discussion here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Everyone, have a good day.
Have a
Shalom.
good
Salam
night.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Amjad.
So the thing about Shani is making what I like about Shani. She always says affirmations. So she's very assertive. She says the Jews are native, the Palestinians are not native.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay,
I
so what's
didn't
your
say
say?
that though.
Okay,
I
good.
said that the Jews are indigenous to the land and the Palestinians are native to the land. And if you don't know what those things mean, then I can explain if you want.
Okay, so the Palestinians are not indigenous to the land of Palestine.
No, they are not, because they don't fit the criteria of being indigenous to the land.
Right. So you're making the argument that so in your opinion, the norm, in French, in France, we've got a province in north of France called Normandy. It's populated by the Normans who came here 1,000 years ago.
Hello.
So can we?
Hello.
So the Normans, the French Normans, who maybe they have no memory of having been Normans or Vikings, so they're not indigenous and they're native to the north of France. That's your argument, Shani, right?
No, not at all.
So they are both indigenous and native.
I don't know what you're getting at. Like, you saying
what I'm
people
getting at is
from
that actually you argue the very fact that you're making it problematic, or you're questioning the indigenous of Palestinians is telling, because
because they're not indigenous. It's just a fact. It's just a fact.
No,
they don't fit the criteria. If you want, I can read the criteria, and you see that the Arabs do not fit the criteria. The Palestinians, as you call them.
Please,
okay?
please read the
not fit
criteria.
the criteria.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I need to pull up my laptop. So.
Okay, just from your memory, whatever. I mean, like, we're not here in university.
Well, I remember one significant one that is basically says that in order to be indigenous, you need to have a pre-colonial presence in the land, which Palestinians don't have.
So what do you consider colonial? The British, the Romans, whatever. Which one?
Yeah, the Romans, the Ottomans, the British, sure.
So the Palestinians did not exist in Palestine before the Ottomans, before the British, and etc.
Listen. I don't think you know the history, but the Arabs came here. The Arabs came here in the 7th century and colonized the entire Levant and North Africa. Okay, that's where they came. So they cannot be indigenous.
That's the wrong argument from the start.
Can I please finish? Because this is history. This is proved by history that the Arabs had no presence here before the Islamic colonization conquest of the 7th century. Okay. So they cannot be wait, please let me finish. So they cannot be indigenous if you don't have pre-colonial, which the Jews have, which the Jews certainly do have, in the land.
Okay, I think your argument is wrong, and I will tell you for 2 reasons. First of all, you're making the assumption, which is a very classic one, that if such were the case, the Arabs would have, and I apologize for the term, they would have the best testicles in humanity. If the Arabs were the ancestors of every single individual from Iraq to Morocco, then I think there is no other nation who could compete with the Arabs when it comes to that. As a matter of fact, what we do know is that in the Levant and in North Africa and elsewhere, most of the population, DNA-wise, is descendants of the natives. There is no exception to that. You go to Iraq, you go to Egypt, you go to North Africa, you do the DNA test, you compare it with the corpses of the people who the tombs are there from 2,000 years ago, you find a very high correlation.
Okay,
That's
but
one.
you are
The second
confusing.
thing, please, let me finish. The second thing, so you make a
מעוות את
confusion.
הכל,
You're
את
confusing
הכל
the two.
מעוות.
You're confusing the being Arabic speaker and the ethnic identity. Being Arab is a linguistic trait because a Maronite
Really?
Christian,
Oh my
a Maronite
gosh, are you
Christian,
serious?
a Maronite Christian
It's just
speaks
Isn't
Arabic.
this guy a Berber?
A Coptic speaks
Oh my
Arabic.
God.
Everybody speaks Arabic.
You're funny. You're funny.
No, I'm not funny.
Muhammad, you're
I'm
really
finishing
funny,
with another
actually.
argument. Look,
You're
the other
really
thing
funny.
is that you're saying that there were no Arabs in the land before the 7th century, and I will prove you wrong on two accounts. But I can add more. First of all, you know from your own history that Herdus, the exilarch of
Oh my
Judea,
God, are you serious?
he was a Ger from Jordan.
איזה
His
בזבוז
both
זמן
parents
משווה,
are
אלוהים ישמור.
Bullshit,
He's
Muhammad.
Nabatean
This
from
is
his own
bullshit.
parents.
Bullshit! Boo! Get him on. Send him down. Send him down.
This is bullshit. Ordus was Jewish.
He was not. He
Ethnically,
was a
his
Ger.
entire
He was not a
legacy.
Hebrew.
His
He was a Ger.
entire legacy is Jewish. His daughter is Jewish.
He's
Everyone
not.
is Jewish.
I'm teaching you a new
Just
fact,
because
maybe.
he has
So
one
you have to
mother
thank me,
who's
Shani.
Nabatean,
You really have to thank me.
okay?
And every
No, you're
dynasty on stage.
delusional.
Not delusional, but I'll let you learn that for yourself because you don't know it. So I've talked to you.
שני, את לא תצאי מזה.
Actually, when
זה לא
someone
מישהו
is shocked,
שאפשר לעשות
there
איתו
is a
דיבייט.
state of denial.
You are repetitive.
בעייתי
You
מאוד.
guys, you pro-Hollywood are ridiculous.
After
You
a
are
shock comes the
repetitive. I know
denial.
every single argument.
שימי, אתה רוצה כאילו שהחדר שלך יהיה סבבה או שאתה רוצה פה בגלל? בינתיים יש פה מישהו על הבמה שהורס את החדר.
He's definitely destroying the whole room.
אני הייתי מציעה במה.
Send him down. Send him down.
לדבר עם אנשים, גם מהצד הפלסטיני שאפשר לדבר איתם. אי אפשר לדבר איתך.
Guys, hold on a second. Okay. Please, guys, mute your mics because there is an echo. Thank you. Okay, so Muhammad, let's take a break, okay, for a couple of minutes.
No problem. Yeah, we can take a break, but I only insist on one thing. It is nothing to say, but you can.
Shut the fuck up!
The only thing.
Shut up! Get him out of there! Get him out of there!
Can I just
Shimmy, get him out of there.
Muhammad, hold on a second, okay? People,
which is flattering, by the way.
Can I just
Muhammad,
say something?
okay, thank you, Muhammad. Please,
very late.
let's take a break for a couple of minutes. I want to hear other people in the room. Maybe they want
Toridoto.
La La Land. Go buy popcorn and keep on living in the movie you live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you.
Listen. Can I go, guys? Can I just say something? Listen. This guy, and please don't interrupt me because I'm talking, okay? This guy is erasing Jewish history. That's what you're doing, okay? You are erasing Jewish history. You are being anti-Semitic. You are delusional, okay?
I just taught you
very delusional. No facts have been said, okay? Just because Hordus has a one Nabatean
from two sides. He's a gift from his two sides, Nabatean, Arab.
מספיק, די.
Okay, this guy must be muted. He cannot talk over people.
I know, Norm, you don't understand. He gets the stage
you're
here.
erasing Jewish history.
Nonsense.
Okay, you speak nonsense, exactly, Iris. And you're erasing Jewish history. That's it. That's what you're doing. And we've been on to you. We already know what you're doing, okay? And I'm not gonna play into this. I'm gonna leave. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna leave.
Shani, thank you, Shani.
Shani, I wish you would stay. I like having you here.
Shani is hysterical. לילה טוב, שני, ותודה על הצחוקים. Can I give my 2 cents?
Ken,
I
Yes,
want
guys,
to give
please
my
Ken,
two
go
guys.
cents.
ahead.
Look,
Bring your two cents.
yeah, I enjoy to listen to young Muhammad. I don't think that he has the. Wait, guys, don't interrupt me. You don't like being interrupted. I'm not going to take 10 minutes. I'm going to take 1 minute. What was I saying about Muhammad? Yes. I don't think I like young Muhammad. I don't think he has the power to erase Jewish history. I don't think it's within his abilities. He can deny, but he cannot erase it. It's still going to be there when he's done talking. Many of his assertions are fact-based, not all of them. Most of his conclusions, I think, are faulty. But I very much enjoy the intellectual conversations I have, like Shimi, with Muhammad, and I've been having them for over a year now. That's my 2 cents. And I think that if you are afraid, uncomfortable, don't enjoy the room, you don't have to be here. I don't think
We're
there's a
not
danger.
afraid. We're enjoying the room a
Yeah.
lot. We just want to.
Fine. So if you enjoy it, enjoy it. But I'm just saying, I don't see a danger in Muhammad's opinion. He's not like the only person who.
There's not even a deep
Yeah.
conversation here, guy. Come on.
I think it's interesting. He says Hordus is a convert, and Shani says no, only his mom was not Jewish, which by the way means that he wasn't Jewish. But Muhammad says no, both his parents are not Jewish. I would like to Google it. I don't know the answer. I'm not a fucking historian on every... Like Shani showed great knowledge, and so does Muhammad, but I have Google and I can find out for myself if Hordus was a convert or not, and if he was, what the fuck does it mean, right? Even if there's a fact behind of what Muhammad says, where does it lead? And therefore Israel shouldn't exist.
I will tell you, because she
Guy,
made the argument that the Arabs did have no involvement in the history of the land, never ever before the 7th century. So because I have direct answers to direct questions, I will give you one first hint.
No, but I'm saying even if you're absolutely right, and I didn't check, I'm driving, right? But I've listened to you long enough to know that more times than not, when I Google, most of what you say is right? But my point is, at the end of the thread, sure, he was a convert, and he was actually Jordanian by origin that joined the Jewish people. Now what, right? What at the end of the argument? Wait, guys, wait. 10 seconds, Shimi. 10 seconds. Really, at the end, all of the arguments with Muhammad is about do the Jewish people have the human right, like all other people, for self-determination or not?
No,
Muhammad thinks that uniquely the Jewish people don't deserve that right. I agree that the Palestinian people. I agree that the Palestinian people deserve every human right, like every other human, including the right for self-determination. I would never want to deny that.
I don't Muhammad is a representative
that
of
the
the
Zionists are
Palestinian
entitled to be Zionists.
And it's not a...
But wait, the other thing is he never claimed to be anything but what he is to me. I always knew he speaks Hebrew. I've never heard him say that he's Palestinian. He's just an intellectual that likes to argue, and who better to argue than with a Jew?
Guy, you are misleading us, because first of all, Muhammad identified with the Palestinians because he's a Muslim. First of all, secondly, is taking a lot of facts, maybe a real fact, but is twisting them to create a false reality.
Yeah.
So we need to keep it in mind.
The false reality was what Shani said. Shani said, the claim, it's an affirmation. I'm not inventing it. You can pretend she didn't say so. She said Arabs are absent from the land before the 7th century. They have no right to say that they have a continuous history in the land ever before the 7th century. I told her that she is wrong about that.
And that's fine. I go further, Shimi, right? If the question is who wants to destroy Israel, right? I say Palestinians are indigenous. Shani wants to argue semantics and call them native. I don't have time for this semantic game. Jews are indigenous to me. I'm telling you about my point of view. Palestinians are indigenous, right? Some of them go back to before Abraham came in, before Moses and the children of Israel came back. There were always people there. There are still people there today. They call themselves Palestinian and they
But
speak
from where,
Arabic, but they're not
guys,
foreigners.
from where you
Canaanites.
bring, but from where you bring those facts?
DNA evidence. DNA evidence. DNA evidence.
Can you point?
Of
Can you
course.
point us
Listen,
to your sources?
you know Har Megiddo? My DNA goes back 4,000 years to Har Megiddo.
So
4,000 years. They
originally,
found remains.
hold on a second, guys. So originally, you saying that you are a Palestinian and not a Jew? That's that's exactly what you're trying to tell us? Guys,
Shimi, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Shimi, I stepped out of the car. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm asking you, what you're trying to tell us that you're originally a Palestinian and not a Jew? That what you
Me? No, I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew from Judea, and all I'm saying is I'm not talking about me. I was talking about the Palestinian people. Some of them came in 47, and some of them were there 4,000 years. That's my assertion. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm a Jew. I come from the same place. There were many, many people in that land. Always read the Bible. It's not like the land of one people.
I never saw in the Bible a verse that say that the Palestinians been here before the Jews. I never saw it. Can you point out to the?
That's the semantics. That's the semantics. Actually, it's as if you
Palestinians
say
in the Bible. They're not. They're called Jews.
Which verse? Which chapter?
Christians came and started the gospel. Jews left.
Okay, my matrix guy can't hear you.
They're still the same people that were there, that belong there, that God, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in that version of God. But the point is, they converted and they were still.
Guy, you're in the matrix. Can you say what you said again?
So I'm saying, Jesus came and preached a new. Paul came with a new word, and then Jews became Christians. Some of them, not everybody.
Okay.
You heard of that?
Yeah, I heard of that.
And they kept living there. You understand?
But how do you conclude? But from how do you
from DNA evidence?
Shimi, I have a question for you, Shimi. Or even for God.
Okay.
Even for God.
But I just don't think that means that Jews shouldn't have a country, Shimi. Just because Palestinians are indigenous too.
Okay, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand what you are saying. So basically, what you're saying, Jews stole the Palestinian land. That's
no, God help us, Shimi. Jews deserve self-determination. We call that.
No, it's not the same. It's don't play
semantics. Wait, let me tell you what that means.
אתה נותן פה לאנשים שונאי ישראל, אני לא מבינה מה קורה פה.
ממש,
זה
ממש,
אשכרה
תתבייש.
שונאי ישראל, וגיא אתה אחד מהם.
ברור שאני אחד מהם. אני מסכים איתה.
רגע, חברים. לילי, אני רוצה שאנשים, אם יש פה שונאי ישראל, בואו תתמודדו איתם. לבעוט אותם החוצה, זה הכי פחדני שיש.
שימי, אני אסביר לך. אני מאמין שלעם היהודי יש זכות להגשמה עצמית בארץ ישראל.
אתה משחק איתי בסמנטיקה, אני לא שאלתי אותך את השאלה הזאת. אני שואל אותך, האם היהודים גנבו לפלסטינים את האדמה? זאת השאלה.
לא, התשובה היא לא, אלוהים ישמור, איזה שאלה מטומטמת זאתי. גאלנו את האדמה שלנו. מה אתה לא מבין בסיפור של היהודים, אחי? הסיפור של היהודים אתה מכיר אותו.
לא, אני לא מבין אותך, אני מתנצל שאני לא מבין אותך.
All right, so they're just bickering with each other amongst themselves, really nothing important. But there's a lot of facts about the history of the region at the website www.mythsandfacts.com. That's where I got these mandatory Palestine images, which essentially kind of shows the history of the region from the time the British essentially were given the mandate. And the mandate, there's the mandate right here. So that all of that, all of that, let me see if I can, there we go. So all of that, that whole white space in 1920, and all that white space is mandatory Palestine. And the British had the mandate for Palestine. The French had the mandate for Syria. The British had a mandate for Iraq, which is why they extended the border all the way up like an arm, so they could have a border with Iraq. Why wouldn't they have just given all that stupid space to Iraq and finished? But anyway, that is the mandate for Palestine as of 1920, and it is as of April the 24th, 1920, it is showing the boundaries of the land in which the Jewish national home was to be reconstituted. Let's go back and join the fray.
לא מנסה שום דבר, ודרך אגב, למה שיר
אני
חשובה
מכיר אותך
מהחדר הזה?
טוב. אותי
למה?
אותך טוב. אז זה תמיד ככה.
זה לא יעזור לך.
תמיד ככה, תמיד ככה. מסרבת לדבר כמו בן אדם. כמו בן אדם נורמלי.
כי אני לא מאמינה במה שאתה אומר.
Just a whole bunch of personal insults back and forward. But that Muhammad guy, I think he's taking over. He's trying to control the room, and I think Shimi is letting him. So let's see if he can take back control.
She brings no argument to the table. I just don't know why she was in the stage in the first place.
Who was that? Iris?
Iris, yeah, it was Iris.
Okay.
Shimi, I have an answer for your room topic.
Guy, let me jump in for a second. You said you'd only.
Yeah, of course, Norm. Okay. I'm going to roll a joint and listen to you.
Okay, Javier. So I just wanted to read this. This is what was the name of the woman before, that nice woman who left, Shani? Okay. The Muslim conquest of the Levant, also known as the Rashidun conquest of Syria, occurred in the first half of the 7th century, shortly after the rise of Islam. This is what she was saying. As part of the larger military campaign known as the early Muslim conquests, the Levant was brought under the rule of the Rashidun Caliphate and developed into the provincial region of Bilad al-Sham. The presence of Arab Muslim troops on the southern Levantine borders of the Byzantine Empire occurred during the lifetime of Muhammad. I'm willing to say peace be on his name. I'm not taking anybody's prophet in vain. With the Battle of Murta in 629 formally marking the start of the Arab-Byzantine Wars. The conquest began in 634, 2 years after the Prophet Muhammad's death. Okay? So what she was talking about is actually something honest and serious to this.
No, not at all. Actually, that's not the argument. She said there was, actually, you're talking about Arab Muslims. Of course, Islam itself, it started in the 7th century. So there is no Arab, Arab Muslim in the 2nd century. That's not the argument.
What is an Arab? What is an
Arab?
So
the argument, yeah, exactly. So the argument is an Arab, the minimum definition we could have is that an Arab is someone who speaks and writes in Arabic language. That's the minimum. That's the slightest. If we have a civilization, if we have people, if we find inscription, whatever,
you've defined Arab. Okay, you've defined Arab. Now what?
That's the lightest. Yeah, we can have a much more developed definition. But that's the way I was portraying it is
Arab is just somebody who speaks the language. There's no now, as I understand
there
it,
are tribes.
My friendship.
There are tribes.
Are you? If I may ask, I'm a Jewish person. Are you an Arabic person? Are you an Arab person?
Ethnically, I'm not Arab.
Okay, what are you? If you don't mind my asking.
I am a native North African.
Okay, so you're from North Africa. Okay, like a Berber maybe. Okay,
Yeah.
some people are back channeling me that Arab is an ethnicity. It's a language group apparently. I know that the Bedouin people, with whom I consider myself very friendly, and I see us as cousins. And I'm also with Guy that human beings deserve human rights. Just so you know where I'm coming from. But if you're telling me, I know very well that the Arabic people of the Arabian Peninsula are very, very careful about their lineage. They
Of
know
course.
who they are. They know where they're from. So you're
So
saying this is not the only. So are we making a distinct? George is going to come up and make a. I don't know how I became a mod. Thank you, Shimmy. Thank you. So this is maybe we're not talking about the same thing. Maybe
no,
when
no,
we
we're talking
talk
about the
about,
same thing because actually, as a matter of fact,
well, we
the
have a
fact that
different definition of
no,
Arab
because no,
because
no, no, the fact
wait,
that
why do you have
you
to talk? Why do you have to interrupt me? I'm talking back and forth with you. All I was
yeah,
going to say is that
I'm doing the same thing.
it's my understanding that the Arab people, they come from the Arabian Peninsula. That's who they are, and that I just read you the description of how they got to the Levant. They
No,
came
but
in the
no, that's not the
Arab-Byzantine
truth to
War.
it. No,
Okay.
that's a partial image. What we were saying, you were saying the Arab Muslims, but the Arabs were in the Levant way before Islam started, and we do have proofs to that. Endless
Okay. So
proofs.
when did they come? Let's look it up. When did they come?
I mean, we the first mention of the Arabs having participated in the affairs of the Levant dates back to the Assyrian inscriptions. There is a battle called the Battle Karkar Battle. It's called with a Q, Karkar Battle, in the 8th century BC, in which the Arabs, the Arameans, the Kingdom of Israel took a fight against the Assyrians, and it is documented, and it took place in nowadays. Uh, it's in a region in Syria close to nowadays Lebanon and Palestine. So,
Are we in
and we also
agreement that the Hebrew language predates Arabic?
it
Is
does
there
not.
any?
No.
Okay, so now we have an
It doesn't
archaeological.
predate Arabic at all. That's not true.
Okay, this is my
I just before
understanding.
hold on a second, guys. I just want to ask. I see Nabia and Khalid on the stage. Guys, do you want to contribute to the discussion that we're having here?
No, Shimi, I'm fine. I'm listening to the debate. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
sure,
Khalid.
sure. Um, yeah, actually, I don't know if you're putting what you're saying into perspective with the story of Abraham with Isaac and Ismail, where actually the Jewish people came from Isaac and Muslim came from Ismail, and basically, from my understanding, these are Sepharad, and when Norm, you say that. As a Jewish, you feel closer to Berber than Arabs.
To Bedouins, you say Bedouins. To be
No, no,
fair.
no. I said I feel close to the Arab people, and I'm just mentioning some Bedouin friends that I have. I don't make any. I'm not making a hierarchy. I'm just saying I feel close to. So this is why I feel I
Yeah,
can
no, there
speak
was no
openly
judgment
with
in
them.
this.
I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
speak openly. I don't feel closer to one or the other. I just said I feel close. I feel that we're from the same area and that we're like cousins, if not brothers. By the way, I just looked up the Arabic language is about 1,000 years old. It comes from the Arabian Peninsula. It was first spoken by nomadic tribes in the northwestern frontier of the peninsula. So this is also established history. So it would
No,
be
that's not. It contradicts to yourself. I mean, like you're saying that the Quran, which is a minimum 1,400 years old, which is a Quran, which is an Arabic text, is older than the invention of Arabic, which you
I'm
attribute
just
to one. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, why don't you look up the history of the Arabic
Know the
language
history of
and
the Arabic
offer a
language. If you want to talk,
contribution?
I do
Yeah,
know the history of
because
the Arabic language.
well, then why would you assert that it
Wait,
came
wait,
before
Norm,
Hebrew?
does it say 1,000? 1,000?
It says over 1,000 years old. So this fits with the
No,
history of the
No,
Quran.
but that could be 20,000 also. I don't know what over means.
Over means somewhat over.
I mean, not
Just
that I
not
think that it's 20,000. I'm just saying
okay.
over could be, you know what I'm
no.
saying? But
Actually, if you are interested in the linguistics,
Okay. So
Shimi, I
do
think
we
we had a
agree that it
discussion with Shimi.
originates in the Arabian Peninsula or no?
are you on the Wikipedia, Norm?
I started in Wikipedia. I'm looking whatever I can find
Hmm.
online.
No,
First of
sure. I
all,
want to look too.
if you want to speak linguistics,
I can prove to
you. I can
the
prove to you
official info
ABC.
is it says well over 1,000 years. It doesn't mean
No,
20,000.
The thing is that the thing that we have the first Arabic inscriptions. We have to make a difference between two things here. The Arabic language, as it stands, or as at least as it is in the Quran, it has archaisms that even biblical Hebrew does not have them. And we've spoke with Shimi once about this. If someone wants to have the discussion about the comparison between the Arabic grammar, the structure of the language of Arabic, and Hebrew, which are sister languages, both being Semitic languages, we can have this discussion. And I can prove to you, ABC, that Arabic has archaisms. You cannot make the argument.
It may have archaisms in it, but there is I am unaware of any scholarship that does not understand that the Arabic language comes from the Arabian Peninsula, that the Arab people came to the Levant at the time that I just mentioned in the early part of the 7th century, and that the Arab language developed. I believe Aramaic came first, then Hebrew, then Arabic. I don't think there's any controversy about this.
The argument being made right now, the scholarship right now, actually, about the kernel of the Arabic language, because the discussion was that because it must have a kernel to it. It has to start from somewhere and then
now you're talking the kernel instead of the language.
No, the language, So the first inscriptions
you said
today,
the kernel.
The kernel, yeah. Because every language has a kernel. It starts from somewhere.
Yeah, but the kernel is not the language. So do you say that it doesn't come from the Arabian
the kernel,
Peninsula?
the geographic kernel. It means that the first spot where the language was spoken.
Do you think it does not come from the Arabian Peninsula?
No, I think it's coming from the Arabian Peninsula, but I was in the middle of making my argument.
Okay, so it came from the Arabian Peninsula to the Levant when?
Right. So
when? What year? What year? I'm asking you. What year?
Since times immemorial. And I will tell you
in the first half of the 7th century, in the early 600s.
No.
Oh, okay. No. So now you're just disputing
I'm not disputing anything.
You're disputing the accepted history. You know very well when the Arabic language came to the Levant.
No. I will give you an example. For instance, look, one of the first attestations of Arabic as a written language, because languages languages first exist as an oral phenomenon. So Hebrew was spoken long before it was written, normal. Any language was spoken way before it was written. So there is a distinction between the language being written and the language being spoken. Second, one of the first attestations of Arabic being written in the Levant is an inscription, a bilingual inscription in Aramaic and Arabic that was found in the Negev. That is, in nowadays, officially speaking, south of Israel. It's called the Ain Avdat inscription. Ain Avdat inscription. Those are small bilingual texts in both Aramaic and Arabic, dating back to the kingdom of Avdat, to the town of Avdat, where the rulers were Nabateans back then. So the thing is, and that is the first century AD. We're not even talking. We're talking 7 or 6 to be precise, centuries prior to the appearance of Islam. And we're talking specifically about Israel as it stands nowadays as a country with borders.
Okay. So what you're disputing look, I posted a link at the top. Please take a look. See if you...
I don't need a link. I already have enough knowledge.
Okay. And you disagree with this?
You can need a link. I don't know. I mean, but I'm speaking to you. Yeah. So you can look up.
You disagree with this history?
I don't disagree with history.